Alright, welcome everybody to the town board work session of Wednesday, September 12th, 2018. We'll start our construction update. We have Steve Boswell from Boswell Engineering and John Caswick. We see John all too often, but John has been great really with keeping the merchants up to date and keeping the town board up to date and incredibly accessible and responsive.
Thank you.
We haven't seen you in a while, Steve, so welcome back.
I only come when there's problems, so it's good you haven't seen me.
I don't mean that in a negative sense, I just mean that, welcome back.
Thank you.
So basically, we're here, we just passed our 1-year anniversary, and unfortunately, still trudging along, but it seems like we're sort of fighting uphill from time to time. So I thought it might be a good time for us just to come, and because it's televised, it gives our residents and our merchants an opportunity to just take and reassess where we are, how far we've come, and how much more we need to do. The nice thing, the interesting thing is that we are in the midst of our drainage portion of the project, and there are these very impressive 7 by 7 by 7 chambers that we actually John moved to the far end of North Greeley Avenue so that people could appreciate exactly what was doing. You know, they come in, they see plates on the ground, but they don't really appreciate what's going on under the ground.
Yeah.
And we are about 2/3, 3/4 done with the drainage project.
About 3/4.
And I'm happy to report that areas that have traditionally flooded with the heavy rains, like the North Squires on South Greeley, so far so good. And I actually had some residents call me on North Greeley, hoping that we hadn't finished because they were still flooding and were we gonna be there? That's when we
That was right
decided-
at the end, yep.
Right, that's when we decided to take and move the structures up there so they could really understand what it was that we were installing. And there are these great big concrete chambers that will provide the water with basically a place to sit that isn't on the street until the water subsides from these heavy rains. And we've replaced the 12-inch drainage pipes with 224s, which should be tremendously helpful as well. And I don't know, tell us where we are and what we're doing and fill us in from this point on.
But we're just waiting now for the change that we had in the 24-inch reinforced concrete pipe down to the 24-inch ductile iron pipe to get over the conduits in front of Verizon. Denell has been there for the one set that they can move for us. But there was a lead time on the order for the ductile iron pipe to get through there. I talked to Miguel. They had told us 6 weeks, but that was like 2-3 weeks ago. They thought it'd be 6 weeks. They're hoping to get it sooner. He was gonna call again this afternoon and then again tomorrow, he said, because when I talked to him today, it was like 3 o'clock already. So we're hoping to get that, but last night we're going up King Street now. So we have King Street with Cross, we're doing that structure now over by where the sushi place is. That's going in, and tonight we should be going, once that unit's in, is going up King to the one that's gonna be out, it's gonna look like it's out in the middle of the road now, but once we put the curb and it rounds
By the
out.
Historical Society where we're narrowing the road.
Not all the way up, there's one that goes right in front of Family Bridges.
Okay.
That goes out, you'll see it cut, it looks like it's out in the middle of the road, but once the new curb goes in, it's gonna come to that. So we're doing that, we have the units by the Historical Society, so all of those will be going in next. And while they're waiting for those 24-inch pipes, they're doing all the crossings. We'll do the crossing, they removed the conduits at 120 by Citibank, and we couldn't get the 18 in, so we're putting double 12s in. So they're gonna be doing that to go across because you can't clear that, so 12-inch pipes.
I feel like I should translate.
Yeah, double 12-inch pipes instead of an 18-inch pipe,
Sounds
because we can't
better.
get the
As long as you don't
Yeah,
get
it's
Like
slow.
+6 to me, I'm not an engineer, but.
Yeah, no, we don't get the water to them, it's,
So
there's just so much of everything
yeah, so
everywhere, and it's
Daniela is
insanity.
Verizon's subcontractor.
Yes.
And we have encountered a number of spots, especially in front of the Verizon building, where there are conduits that weren't necessarily reflected in the plans, so that when they went to excavate a large enough spot to be able to put these large chambers and the enlarged pipes, they ran into the entire fiber optic network that Verizon has buried in the middle of North Greeley. And the problem is it doesn't move very easily. So John has
Then
been
they're
trying.
old, we're getting rid of, you know, some of the conduits are wooden conduits, some of them are clay encased in concrete. And then the problem we run into, which, I mean, I know a lot about these utilities, but on a lot of this stuff, they actually have it under pressure, just a little bit to keep moisture from getting into the pipes.
Oh.
And yeah, this was new to me because they're like, well, we can't touch this because if you compromise it and you lose this pressure, the water goes in the line and then that's it.
Oh.
It gets into it, and I had never really heard it because I usually thought everything was encompassed. But they said the older lines have that still, and they're here. So this is what I'm told by them, and
That's why they
there's,
just
yeah,
shifted a couple
and
inches.
there's a ton of them. I mean, the one going into, we have the Verizon building there, the transfer building, and it's all fiber optics. We have like 18 fiber optic lines going there to like North New York State come through there with everything. I mean, it's a massive amount of stuff. And so they move what they can, I change what I can, and get people over it.
So, after being told all that good news, what does the schedule look like for our completion of the drainage?
I was told by Leo, at this time, he's thinking 2 more weeks and nights, and we should have it done.
Even with all of the
Even with the
conduits?
24 inch, so I'm assuming he thinks that not next week, the week after, he's getting this 24 inch. Because we have some here, we
Yes,
still have
no, no,
21.
no.
So the minute we get, these guys are done, we're gonna keep going.
There are
And
also
keep
a
going
number
up
down
farther.
on
We
North
won't,
Main.
we probably won't get done, I think there's the last double 118 feet, I think it is. There's 2 more to go between those last 2 chambers before I get to the end by Rite Aid and make the turn across the street. And then that's it. Besides the little pieces coming off.
That includes all the drainage going up King on the
Yeah,
center as well?
yeah.
So you think by the 28th, by the end of the month?
By the end of this month, we should have all
Wow.
the drains in.
Okay.
Yeah, cause tonight, I think we have 2 crews, so we might be doing 120. I went over all 120 that, what I just talked about with the double 112 going across by 120, so I'll get that in. And then going up King.
They still on schedule for starting the sidewalks during the day?
That's, we had that conversation with him because I talked to him, he's trying to set it up to do it. The rain is killing everybody everywhere else. So even though he's not here, you hear where he is at, everything's flooded. The subcontractor, I think, I can't remember who it is, L&K, or I can't, because he hasn't been here yet, so I don't.
It's the concrete subcontractor.
Yeah, subcontractor, and he's doing the curb, the sidewalk and everything else.
Oh,
But these
I
guys
see,
are,
he's delayed,
but
okay.
we've had, like we talked, a whole month of March rained, so they don't get nothing done. And then when you get this much rain, now you're dealing with mud. So you start putting curbs in and everything else, and you can't do it. You know, on these other jobs. And
Right.
like we had talked about the schools, there's other school jobs that they have to get because school's open to get it done for there. So it all kind of falls to the wayside.
So we don't know when they're gonna be able to start
He
the
told me,
sidewalks?
he was sober 2 weeks, said my big thing, whenever they come, at this point, I want him to do King Street first. He can start here and do this, but I need a crew on King Street so I can get the last 2 poles for Con Ed, and I don't have to
Oh.
worry about them, because that's a lot.
So the plaza that we're putting in.
Yes, that whole, we took the little bit of the islands left, but if you see, we put the drainage in, we capped off the one. But I wanna get that curb in and out so that Con Ed will put their last 2 poles in, and then at least that, we're out of their way, and, I mean, they're moving Con Ed. But you see what's going on with Altice and then Verizon. So I just wanna get it so that Con Ed they cannot say anything to us anymore, and they can just do it.
Okay, so.
In case
so
something happens, if
We're gonna, so by the Historical Society, we're moving the curb all the way out, we're sort of
All
shrinking
the
the
way out,
roadway.
yep.
And we're going to be putting in the new telephone pole somewhere there.
Mhm.
So the question is, what happens to this whole area if we're not gonna be able to do the sidewalks?
we'll pave it.
You'll just put asphalt on it
We'll
just so
stone
that
it,
it
we'll
actually
pave it
looks
like
like
we did
it?
everything else. We'll
Okay.
put a coat of asphalt on it, make it all nice for whenever they come back to finish it,
Okay,
whether
and-
it's before the winter,
There's
after
2
the winter.
spots, right? There's one on the east side and west side of.
Yeah, there's 2 of them.
There's
Yeah,
2
right,
of them.
yeah, the
One's
pole
one
And then on the
west
other
actually
side
on
of
the
Center
end.
Street.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
there's 2
was-
sides.
You think it's not gonna be till after the winter?
They could be.
Yeah, for the sidewalks.
See, the problem we have is.
Not for the drainage.
Yeah,
No,
no, but the sidewalk and the there's a lot of problems with it, and it's not, I don't wanna say problems. The thing we have, they wanna close between Thanksgiving and New Year's.
Yes.
Come January and February, you're not putting in any curbs or a sidewalk and anything like that, so you have it's too cold. You can't, we're trying to figure out about getting in conduits for like the street lighting, so that maybe we can do that in the winter, we had talked about. The problem with that is to get the conduit in, you have to put the curb in. To get the curb in so that he can do it, then come in sidewalk, and if we don't come and do it, then we're gonna be, the sidewalk part of it, then we're gonna be paving over conduits, and then we're gonna have to come back out later, rip out the asphalt. Then we have all the double poles, which I talked about doing down here at least, cause there's
Yes.
not, there's only one or two double poles. But all through the rest of town, when we were gonna be moving along, it was like, okay, we won't do this piece because it's double pole, then we won't do this piece because it's double pole, then we won't do, well, when you start walking out there and looking, there's a lot of places with double poles where, you know, the guy's gonna be doing sidewalk here, but then he can't do it for 10 feet, and then we're gonna do a piece here, and then you have the pavers that are sitting recessed on the sidewalk, so it's, you know, what are you gonna do, the pavers up to here where this joint is, and then pave the rest of it, and then when they come to pull the pole out, they put a stabilizer down and then break the sidewalk, there's a lot of that that's up in the air, so we just have to figure out, once we find out when he's coming, what
Who's
he's,
coming?
when the curb and sidewalk guy will be here, they come and do it.
I would tell you realistically, having looked over the job and done many of these in my
Yeah.
life, I think that probably around Thanksgiving, they'll button up the job, tell Con Ed to come in, take out all the double poles, give them that time to
Whatever it
do
is.
that, and then as soon as the weather breaks early in the spring, come back and do all the curb
And
and
then they
sidewalk.
can roll
And
right
then
through
finish
it.
out.
And then finish. Now, because he's not gonna do winter concrete on the sidewalk project, it's too expensive. I mean, you can do winter concrete if you're building a building, because you have to put blankets on it, it's very expensive, you're not gonna do it on sidewalks. So you're not gonna do that, and it doesn't, as John said, very long, John said, that you don't wanna do
I
it.
do that a lot. They know me, they're used to this.
I know, I apologize,
Concise is not John Stewart.
You don't wanna do a section, leave a section, do a section. You wanna get a monolithic bore, you wanna make it look nice when you do it. And with the poles in the way, and Con Ed takes a while to move them, we're not, it's not a criticism of Con Ed, it just takes a while. Because they have to move all the equipment on the pole, and that means you have to get Con Ed in, you have to get Verizon in, you have to get Comcast in, whoever else is on the pole, they all have to come in and move their stuff. So, from a practical standpoint, you don't wanna be pouring concrete in December anyway. You don't wanna pour the concrete until you finish the drainage. The drainage will be done around Thanksgiving, you want them out of here anyway for the whole Christmas season anyway.
No, the drainage will be
Drainage-
done September 28th.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is September.
Everything but the curb and sidewalk is what
Right.
when I said the drainage, I meant the rest of the project will be pretty much completed.
So then what happens during the month of October and November?
But no, they'll be here doing it, cause we still have to do.
There's still more work to do.
Yeah, we have to do, like rebuild the
I tried to
existing
make it
catch-
short, you asked the question.
Yeah, we have to rebuild existing catch basins, put new
Right.
castings on them, because a lot of them show just putting a new casting on it. I've looked in a lot of them, there's more than just putting it in, you have to
Can't they
rebuild.
do up between Maple and Bischoff too as well?
What, with curb and side, with the curb, yeah.
And they-
Actually, I met with Richie
structures.
today about what's going on, yeah, and those structures up there, but that's what I'm just trying to do. I just wanna make sure he gets done with King, that's my biggest thing, before winter hits. But he can do up there, he can do down here,
But rest
When are
assured,
we
he's,
putting in the lights, the traffic light?
that'll be Verde, and I think the biggest problem with Verde, with them getting, we're changing first the cabinet location, that's what we're working on now.
Right.
And once we have that approved by New York State DOT, they might be able to come in and put part of that in, but again, you can't put the loops in to operate it until you're paving it, because we have to box everything out and mill it. So there's other problems with that we might be able to get the structure up, and maybe it blinking.
we doing loops or cameras?
I think this is all loops here.
All loops.
Yeah.
So it's not October,
What's not October?
the light, the traffic light.
Probably
That's what
not.
the-
Probably not.
Probably.
So the most recent version of the project plan has October
For the, like, yeah,
for the light. And the problem is the most recent version of the project plan is from June, right?
no, the last what, the last schedule that Leo
The
did?
last full project schedule is from
Yeah,
June.
it says of June. That's the date he puts on it because he has to enter certain things
Oh,
in.
we'll get a new project
Yeah,
schedule
we'll
up
get a
this
new
week.
schedule for
Because
it.
We'll put a new one up this
because
week.
the problem is that we are having a hard time getting accurate information out to the public and to the merchants so that they understand what to expect. Like we had questions today about, the sidewalk, what is that gonna look like, things like that. If, and they're very concerned about their fourth quarter. I don't even know when I can tell them that we're starting or not starting, but if I can provide them with accurate information, people can take and plan accordingly. And it's not that John's not out there, and it's not that he's not talking to people, he is, but at the end of the day, it's so much easier for someone to take a look at something concrete.
And in 8 hours, he can only talk to 4 people.
Exactly correct.
Maybe 3.
I can make this real brief. We'll be done when we're finished. How's that?
Yeah, you see, it's that accurate,
Yeah.
complete. So so that would be very helpful to us.
Well, we'll have the schedule updated.
Okay, that would be.
Yeah, I'll talk to Leo
that would be
because
the-
there was a lot with the change of the lights. Leo puts together the long version and then he converts it to the short version.
Yeah, and we never really get the short version other than the 2-week look ahead.
Yeah.
There was a time we were trying to get, Tina was sort of helping us out with just like a bar chart, just like with 4 things. So just, water, sanitary, stormwater, streetscape. But, at this point, I think we need a little bit more detail insofar as if drainage is gonna be finished and you're just doing punch list items for, the infrastructure, what would that look like? And, I think everybody would be very excited over the idea that there'd be some sidewalks, completed, even if some sections, even if it's down here or up by Maple, just so they can see what it is that they've
Sure.
endured all this,
Right.
year of disruptions about. And I'm confident it's gonna look fabulous when it's done, but it's just,
Yeah, the job is going well, it's not going as fast as, it never goes as fast as anyone wants.
that's, boy,
But,
that's the thing.
But,
But a little
We
bit
know-
of
that's your
information
note.
goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With the residents and,
Well, unfortunately,
frankly,
we've only
they
given them a
hold
little bit.
all of us accountable for it. And, we get questions all the time,
Right.
I just told somebody last week the sidewalks were gonna be done before the holiday season.
Yeah, they were supposed to start. They were.
Yeah, they were
They're supposed to start.
and I have to tell you that, Leo came in very excited that he was gonna start them like the end of this week, and
Yeah.
I told him absolutely not, we have Community Day on the 15th, and we've got, the book festival on the 29th, and you
yeah.
cannot be ripping up the middle, he's like, yep, it's gotta go straight through, we're just gonna rip them all up, I'm like, no, so it won't be September.
Just so it's clear, we're not gonna slow him down in any way, but it just, I'm just telling you that my experience says he's not gonna get to those. Because he just has, you really don't wanna do the sidewalks except in areas where the poles have already been removed. And so, because otherwise it's a bad job, and we wanna give you a good job.
So has Con Ed moved, other than the 2 poles that need to be,
The ones that are left, the new ones in, everything else is in. They're not fully done, but a lot of it is done.
okay,
They were
is
here last
Con
night.
Ed, right, is Con Ed all done, or they still have more?
They still have a little bit more, I think on Lower King, they were on Lower King last night. I'll find out tonight.
Okay, because
I'll
I
call
would
Dom.
just like to know, can Verizon come in and come behind them on the ones they've done already?
I've already I sent the thing to Altice twice, and then Altice told me he was gonna be here Monday. I'll send him another one tonight, Kevin, because like I told you before, I get the thing, then they say, oh no, it's still on, and he says, no, it's not on it, so I take his and forward it to him and say, you two talk, I'm not in the bucket truck. And it seems the guy pulls up and looks at it, and it looks like it's in, and Altice goes, no, if you look like this, you see it's not connected. I said, well, what are you telling me for? I'm not gonna climb up there and, tell that guy, they don't even know when he shows up anyway. It's not good with these people, with wire people.
Okay, so if by some miracle, we could get the poles removed in the next 4 weeks, the double poles, so we only have the poles that we are gonna be left with, could we start the sidewalks?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I don't
That's the
foresee-
rate limiting step right now.
alright.
And to Jill's point, residents don't appreciate the infrastructure. The
Right.
infrastructure is just bumpy roads and inconvenience
Right.
and
Right.
steel plates and
Yeah.
if we can show them something,
Right.
just show them something that what it's gonna look like and show them that the streetscape is starting and I think it's like when you guys paved, remember?
Getting at the
early
end,
on?
it was.
It carried us for so long for
Everybody was happy.
That's
the
right.
complaints to stop. And I think it'd be the same if we could start the sidewalks, get some lights, get the traffic light up there, just to show them that, okay, now we're at the stuff where you can see. And it's better, it's not bumpy roads.
I can foresee it up to the culvert, this over here, cause this is pretty much ready, I think there's only, there's still a couple double poles out here too. I'm just
We
thinking.
saw a couple of them.
Yeah, I'm just talking about from here to here, there's gotta be
Yeah, you don't-
three of them,
yeah,
there's
you
no
don't
one
see them
here,
anymore,
but
but yeah, they're there. Okay.
But your message is a good one to us and for the residents here. I mean, the thing is, the majority of the work has been completed, but they don't see any of it.
Yeah, they don't, all the good stuff is.
The good stuff comes last.
Yeah.
Right, well, the
They just
flooding would
wanna
be
know
good.
when is this gonna be done.
Yeah, that's,
The flooding would be good though, and despite everything I just said, the truth is, like we started out, I mean, when you finish up on Lower King and that road's not flooding anymore,
Yeah, that'd be a big
that'd be
difference.
something that people will appreciate,
Yes, very much so.
you know?
I mean, yeah, I mean, the proof was, is I thought, you know, the telephone call from this resident, from this merchant was, you know, some complaint about that we had moved pipes down to their end, and the complaint was, you're gonna, you know, finish with us, right? You're not leaving until, you're still working, right? It's like, we're absolutely still working, I apologize, it's taking us so long,
We have to
we're
check with
definitely there.
Christina. If he hasn't visited Christina, we don't finish.
If only it was that easy.
The truth is that's the worst part, you know, where you guys are working right now. I mean, I understand you start at a certain location based on engineering designs, but the reality is that's the worst part. That's the
Yeah.
part that's gonna get
And
the
it's,
most
and it's
benefit.
right there.
Right, and you can tell people that 100 out of 100 jobs that are done with gravity types of installations as opposed to force mains, you have to start at the low point.
Right.
And if
Yeah.
you start at the high point, you're in trouble when you get to the bottom.
I understand, but
So-
that's
Yeah, the
part
worst
you now
spot.
appreciate them,
Right.
will be appreciated.
Right. Plus, that's a pretty complicated intersection, as you know, for ADA compliance, because there are all things going on there. It's really pretty amazing it will resolve it all, but it's not that straightforward, so.
I'm sure.
That's, you know, that's understandable.
So what about the reports? I know we've been a little slow getting some reports.
Right, so, well, we just mentioned to Steve the fact that we're just getting, a little bit more, well, getting some concise, reports, just so that we can let people know where, you know, what it is that we completed and where it is that we're going and they can expect for the coming weeks, just again, so that everybody.
Yeah, we'll update the schedule and we'll try and give you that quick schedule too, so you have more to.
Yeah, break out, and I'll get you another report with the next payment that he's got coming on, cause all we've really done was, it's not much different than what's on there.
Right.
Cause all we did was move away,
This one's like 238,
the
next payment's like 238.
yeah,
Yeah,
Wasn't
but,
much.
so yeah,
Yeah,
cause
but-
it's just more pictures
but
of the
that has to be
drainage.
through, what's that, through June?
No, the reports that see, it's very, he has it written down that that payment is through June, but if you look at the items on there, that payment is farther along than June. It's very deceiving when he says, oh, it's June's payment, like he hasn't been paid for anything in July or August. You look at what's on there, he's been paid. He's, the way he puts it, the way he speaks about it.
You mean Leo?
Leo from ELQ. But if you look on it, it's paid up to whatever, he's just saying, well, this is ours as of that date because of the way it was delayed in the beginning when we first started, because nothing was getting done. And so when you look at it, he's got it as in, oh, this is just up to June, I gotta do, you know, July's, and I'm like, well, what do you mean July's? Your drainage pipe is on there. Oh,
that's
well,
interesting.
yeah, well, you know, yeah,
but he
you know what I'm
doesn't put
talking
it-
about.
No, because the period here, so this is May's payment, and it says period from May 1 to May 31st.
Yeah, true,
of
but look
18.
at the items that are being paid on it, like the 24-inch pipe for the drain pipe,
Oh,
it's
right,
up
yeah.
to where we are, pretty close to where we are on there.
Oh.
He has
I
it set
would-
like
yeah, I
that,
would
I don't know
know
how
that,
he's
yeah.
doing it, what he's talking to, who he's talking to, but if you look on it, cause he says, well, this is June's, I said,
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
well,
but-
look,
but-
at you got all the catch basins on there and everything that's in there now.
Yeah, but yeah.
You're getting
we-
paid
we-
for
yeah,
it,
but we
you
wouldn't
might
know
put
that
whatever
from-
date you wanna put on there, but I know what's out there and what I paid up to.
Yeah, but this is the certified payroll, and it's like, this one's through the week ending May 22nd
Yeah.
of 18.
Cause he puts it through to that day, to what he puts on there. it's all the same people and everything else.
No, no,
I
no,
can,
it's
I can
not
ask
matter
for,
with that, it's
I can
just-
ask him for the whole, you know, he has the certified payroll up till now. I can get you all of it up to now. He just adds on to it what he wants to add on to it when he gives it to me.
I know, but
Cause we've talked, I've talked this about him before when he comes up to it, and he's like, well, this is June's payment, I wanna get paid, I go, I mean, it's June, you put June's date on it, don't mean anything, that if you want, I'll pay you what you were done to, up to June. But I know what you have out there, and we're paying it up to what I have, you know what I'm saying?
Cause all I know is that this
You know,
still
and
has,
it's like-
this is still sanitary in here, so.
I don't understand the word you
well,
just
he's,
said.
no, cause, well, he puts on there that this is his
He
eighth
transfers.
payment for May.
Someone will
But when,
transfer.
when I go over the items,
Yep.
I'm not saying, okay, May 31st, you put in something June 15th, the big vortex or whatever. That's on the payment. So if you can sit there and tell me all you want, that this is only up to May 31st and we're paying it now, but I'm paying for the vortex, I'm paying for the pipe, so,
I'm confused, but okay.
but it's the way he put it together, because
But
it wasn't
aren't we-
like this and he started
aren't we-
changing this.
Confirming our payments against the schedule they're giving us? So why are we paying them in advance if
You're
it's
not.
their
No,
payment?
wait, wait, wait. No,
it's
no,
not, it's not, it's the opposite.
He has never been paid for something he hasn't done.
Yeah, he's not getting paid for anything
The
he
problem
hasn't
is
done.
he's putting a different date on the work he did.
Right.
But it's the work, he will not sign off on any work
That's not out
not
there.
out there.
Got it.
And that, you're protected on that 100%.
Okay.
It's just the way this is, I don't know why he does it this way, it's hard to
Yeah.
explain.
Paperwork is right, you can't pay the bill, don't pay it.
Well, the paperwork's right.
The paperwork
It's just
is
the
right.
way he put, the way he's
Right,
dated
it's
it.
just putting the wrong
I'm-
dates.
Yeah, because he's putting it to where he wants to put it, and then it takes, by the time we get it back and forth, it's every month, but every time we get it back, you get the thing from him, the AIA, it comes back and forth, back and forth.
Okay, so
But-
what I'm confused about is that, so this is the last payment that we did for ELQ. And it has your top sheet on it, it's dated, you dated it, May of 2018. And it shows work that was done in May, which is the sanitary still.
Yeah, the pictures of that.
Right, and that's what your little blurb is on the back of the page over here. And when you look, at least the certified payroll is all from May.
Yeah, he sends them certified payroll to match what he's putting on there.
Right, and so that's it, but my only issue is that we don't have anything beyond May for me to be able to update the board as
Right.
far as what else has been done. So I
Actually,
don't
did another, I
really,
thought Joe had sent another one in,
no,
the
see,
last one, this is the last one?
this is the only one I have,
I'll find out, we'll update it.
so, you
Cause
know, I
others,
always.
I thought we did one with drainage, I thought there
No.
was one with drainage already.
No.
Alright,
But I
I'll
think
contact
fundamentally, there's a difference between the verification of the invoices that are submitted and the payroll and all of the payments that need to go out, and what I think we've been asking for, which is to get a monthly status report
Right.
on the project.
Yeah.
And you've kind of combined the two, which I think made
Yeah.
sense for a while because they were tracking together.
Yeah.
But now it doesn't, right? So now we haven't had any status update.
I will get you a
Since
full new
May.
one up to where we are right now, so that you have it. I thought he did another one when we paid the last payment. Not this one, the payment right before this one. Because this one I know we came back to them again for something with the change order.
Well, you certainly paid the contractor since May.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, this may have been the May, his
Yeah.
May work, but he didn't
They're all-
submit this until the end of July, and then
Yeah.
we paid it in August, so, yeah.
To get it the
He
way it
was,
comes
yeah,
in.
he was paid on this, it was just that the reporting and my ability to update the board as to where we are is well beyond behind where it should be.
We'll have a good
Well, I think what I've said is right, I think that suffices to serve two purposes if it coincides. But
Right.
if there's you need to know where we stand, get your report.
I'll get you a new report
Great.
to go with the new payment the one that we just gave you.
And John, if you could also send me some pictures, just so I can, not for purposes of the billing, but you know, just like we move some of the pipes down to Lower King to show people that this is what's going in the ground. Show them some of the work that goes on at night,
Yeah.
nobody sees at 2 o'clock in the morning what you guys are doing.
Alright, I'll
They
get
just
you more
wake up
pictures.
to plates on the road.
Yeah, I can get her to send, we have a bunch of
Yeah,
pictures.
just
We have a ton
Rob,
of pictures.
doesn't Rob have access to Appia?
Yeah, we're on the Appia reports too.
On the Appia, you can get them anytime you want, but we'll give you more, but.
Yeah, I can just forward the ones that you want, I can get you bunches of them if you wanna use them to post.
Well, the reports, they're pictures of integrate into the report, or is it a digital version of the report? I haven't
Yes.
actually, it's a digital version of the report?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
pictures-
do,
the
yeah,
pictures
it's
are
on there.
all
digital.
There's a bunch of
Download it
tons
from
of
the
pictures on there,
Yes.
yeah.
So
And I
you
can
can
get you
download
some
it to the
more.
town website if you want.
Yeah, I can get Sean to do it, once she goes to do them, just send you a couple here or there, just so you get.
It'll show what's happening, what's happening.
Alright.
You can see the size of the project, you know, what's, the amount of work that's going on, the holes, two trucks. I don't mean to talk engineering talk, hopefully I'm not being too technical.
Best hopes.
Okay.
Anything else?
Okay,
Alright, well,
Nice to
thanks,
see you all.
thanks for coming, Steve.
you're very welcome.
See you later.
Alright, take care.
By the way, we booted your trucks until you get the job.
Thanks a lot.
Take care, good night.
Take care, Steve.
Good night.
Yeah, you're good. Do we have any other questions for Bob? I brought him in just in case there was any questions, issues, but I don't think there's anything else that you particularly help us with. Nope. So, your excuse, sir.
Alright, bud.
Sorry.
Good night, thank you.
He's gonna get overtime because you shipped at 4:30.
Yeah, as a department head, that doesn't
He's the
happen
manager.
anymore. Yeah.
4:40.
But I think John's offering to pay it though, which is nice.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Okay, guys,
Oh,
good
well.
night.
Thank you. Safe home.
Word to say.
Sorry for him.
Now remember, you're donating blood on Saturday.
You know, he always wanted to be administration. This is what happens. Goes out the window.
Okay.
Okay, wait for, just for.
John, are you staying here for the whole meeting, or you just wanted to tell us about your meeting then?
No, I'm here for the whole meeting
Okay.
unless you guys do the job, so.
No,
You
it's
get the
okay,
public
I was
comment.
trying to help you out.
He does want to be like that. He's very happy.
No,
Great.
you guys do a great job, I think the entire town needs to know about it.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Thank you.
Rand, you wanna come up?
Next.
Yeah, we'll start on the
Hey,
lead
I'm gonna
corner.
grab a cup of coffee as you get set up. It's right around the corner, it's gonna take me 2 seconds.
I have a
Sorry, guys.
presentation, but also a paper, so
See-
whichever
see-
way you wanna go.
I'll be back in half a second. 20 seconds.
We'll do presentation, I need to do
being
a
on the
Wi-Fi.
screen?
And
Yeah,
that
that's
paper, that
fine.
paper was recycled,
Be
right?
sustainable.
Is it, you want a presentation?
Yeah, well, does he have a computer? Do you have
I
a
have a
computer?
computer, I don't have a HDMI, I'll go Wi-Fi.
Well, then we can do it by paper if you already printed it.
Yeah, I printed out the salient parts.
You know, it's funny,
Let me hook up my
when the
computer.
Girl Scouts were here, they were able to figure out the HDMI. I think the key is that, you know, if you're still a teen, you can figure out any electronic, any technological, anything. Yeah, sorry.
It feels like it's so much later than it is because it's dark now.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Like fall paintings.
Yeah. My evening walks are now like, that's it.
Oh, it wasn't fun this morning. Oh, it was some monkey, you know, it was cold in.
It was.
Others from the committee will be coming, you know, on the soccer fields and things like that. Will you take one of the best?
Oh, sure.
There's a gym, maybe.
Thank you.
Basketball.
Oh no, let me get some more. Do we have more milk for the coffee, little creamers?
I'll get some.
I don't know where they are.
Really?
Get 'em.
They're not in the cabinet?
No, they
you're
might
out.
be.
Is there half an hour?
They're getting
I
more
have
milk.
half and half in my office,
I
I
got
can
one
get it.
already.
Oh, you got one? Yep. Got it.
John, I think he had more milk.
No, I'm not worried about the milk, I'm more worried about making sure that we power up.
Oh, you were worried about the milk that day. He says,
Ah. I'll bring my own cow next time.
Hey,
So how's everyone's summer been?
good, how about
Gone.
you, Red?
Pretty good. Cheryl ended up having a fall when she was in the hospital in August.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we went to a wedding, she was dancing, somebody pulled her down,
Wow.
she couldn't get up.
Wow,
It was 2 weeks in the hospital.
oh my god.
Yikes.
Yeah, The rest of it was a good summer.
How's Cheryl doing?
She's doing much better, you know, still on short-term disability and going to see doctors galore, but she's getting there. So it wasn't the best of summers. Sorry.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Lisa's sister's a pain management doctor, if you need one.
Say that again?
Lisa's sister's a pain management doctor, Mount Kisco Medical Group.
Oh, which?
Dr.
Who's your
Gross,
sister?
Dr. Gross.
Oh, sure. I've seen her.
That's my sister.
She's helped me.
Sure, please come on up, Kathy. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Sorry.
No problem. Others will be joining us.
Hello.
Just waiting off the train, you did not wanna see me off the train looking like I
We're gonna go
It's a
paper
little harsh on
because
this
I
side, so
didn't
we'll
reach
be-
the mic connector.
And with weather like this, who really cares?
Let's see, oh, you know what, well, we have a minute and we're waiting.
did.
Let's just talk about the hygiene agreement with it's with both Millwood and Chappaqua. I think you guys have actually seen this for the most part, it's been approved by the fire districts. But we didn't actually do a formal resolution to authorize the town to sign it. I've gotten straw votes from I think both fire companies, I'm ready to be able to circulate them because they really wanted some surety, some certainty, thank you. Certainty in their payments going forward, so we set out for the next 5 years what the hydrant fees are gonna be, and we were very clear as to what our responsibilities were insofar as maintaining and tagging and making sure that the hydrants are clear of growth and snow and obstructions and things like that, so, okay, so that was easy.
So I want us to sign it, I don't wanna say this in any way to hold it up, but when I'm looking at this, I
Mhm.
continue to be concerned
About?
about the fact that we are still using a completely manual paper-based process. And I raised this with Jerry back in January, February.
Because we were unable to find a program that would allow us to do it. I mean, we
Yeah,
don't
I
need to
had
do
sent him a
this, I'm
couple
just
of,
thinking to myself,
software packages that were reasonably cheap. And my concern is that, you know, having a paper-based process where we're relying on paper files. for
if
something
this
as
wasn't to submit,
critical.
this was to email, so I think all they intended was that you need to provide that information when you email it. But even so, there's not a follow-up thing.
Okay.
I mean, we are done.
Wait.
I'm with you, okay.
I'm not trying to hold this up.
No, no, no,
but
no,
at
no,
some
no.
point-
But
at
that
some
could
point,
be-
you know, in the future, when we're looking at budgets moving forward, this is something where,
Like next
you know,
week, yes.
we might wanna think about modernizing this process for a reason.
Okay, we're so proud of ourselves that we got it down actually in an IMA type form. Baby steps for us. No, you're not welcome. You know that. Lauren, can you just make a note that we need to just even check with Glenn Sullivan regarding software packages? Okay. And it seems to me that it even can be, you know, we talked about just, and I think Maggie may have done it, was creating Excel sheets that we had that we were able to just take and, you know, keep all of our maintenance records on Excel, so it was easy to search and produce records and see what was missed and what wasn't missed and, you know, what needed additional work and be able to create those summaries, because it is required according to the IM, by the terms of the IMA. So is Nick here?
He stepped out, he's talking to Bob Cioli.
Okay.
We need him right now?
Yeah, well,
Want me to start?
yeah,
Yeah.
anyway, I was hoping you would do it for this, but okay, fine.
Thank you for having us back. What I wanted to discuss today was the legislation that is in draft form now. There's, in your packet, there's two versions of it. One is version 2, which is a June date, and one version 3, which is a September date. Talked about the differences in it and try to work through which version we're gonna end up with. which one meets what the board wants and what the SAB is recommending. Then we'll discuss our rollout timeline, how we plan on doing some education to residents and landscapers, and the electric leaf blower event that is tentatively on the schedule for October. And I'll give you more details on that. And then the question is, what's the next steps?
This is great, this summary.
Thank you. So the summary, it really is taking the highlights of the two versions. When we last left each other.
I'm sorry, you know, you talk about two versions, I only see one
Yeah.
version.
Don't you?
Oh, in the packet there's two
In the
versions?
packet,
Because
No, there was only one version.
there's only one
Packet.
version,
Only one
it's
version?
dated September and it's highlighted with, it's track changes.
No, but I think the summary basically says version 2.
Well, I have
right? So
another
just you can
copy
see like
placed
a
here of June,
sort of
so
choice.
we have some
Well,
copies
the,
here.
right, so the June is the earlier one and the September is
Go later.
June's with the track changes. So,
Sure.
okay,
The one I handed out had no changes, track changes on it. So maybe you just got
That
the
may
wrong
be, but
package.
Oh, in the packet you
In the packet.
gave us.
in the packet you just handed out?
Yes, the packet I handed out.
Oh, you're providing us with two different.
We were both looking
Yes, I'm
through
sorry.
the packet that Jill.
Okay.
In the packet, there's summary of legislation.
Right.
A June clean version, not a red line.
Got
A
it.
September clean version, and then a pamphlet, a handout that we
Okay.
created, which goes to the education discussion. Okay, everyone with me now?
Yes.
So, when we left each other in end of May, early June, there were some changes that were requested. We sat down together, Jill, you were a part of that, forgot his name now, the lawyer?
So,
Nick.
Nick, thank you, Nick
Control
was involved with it, and we came up with a June version that after which you and I discussed with the Department of
Right, with the department heads, so we sat and we met with Ike, who was our commissioner of, our superintendent of Parks and Recreation, Jerry Morshell, who is our superintendent of DPW, and Bart Carey. Because it was most important that the people who were going to be actually on the front line of this law and the ones who were affected by it were able to report to us how realistic the changes that we were recommending would be to their abilities to perform the duties that we require of them.
So now we're letting the town do it. That's the change?
It's
Put it back
for
in.
discussion.
We said to take the town out, but
It's
we
up
put
for
it back in.
discussion.
We put it back in, we put the town back in, we put the school district back in at their request. And
And we also added this 10 acres or more.
right, which is, I think, was a board recommendation.
I don't remember that.
Yes. For the larger property owners like golf courses and things like that, there's no way for them to maintain properties without that.
And we also took out the transition period.
Right.
It was recommended that we have a transition period of 2 years, and that was taken out, and now it's the September version, or we can call it version 3, whichever one we want.
Right, so when last we, well, after our last meeting, it was my understanding that there was going to be, some recommendations of products, electric products, to my department heads that would allow them to see what technology was available that would allow us to transition.
We had discussed having somebody come in and give a demonstration of what's available now and discuss what's coming for the future.
Right.
Which, even though the event in October is not meant to be that, there will be one company there that at least represents larger equipment and can address some of that with the town.
I'm sorry, can we rewind, because I feel like we've
Sure.
all missed some of these
You did.
conversations.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because when did we say electric blowers were okay, because they were also prohibited according to the draft that we reviewed back in May or early June.
Right, so that was gonna be part of the transition as to whether or not we were transitioning from gas to electric.
See, there was discussion about how if we just ban gas blowers entirely and then, but allow electric blowers in like off-season type of.
There are tasks that the town has to do. Like, for example, with a water main break, where we have to blow out certain areas so that we can take it, fix the pipes from, you know, when there's water in it and then we have to take and pave it, you have to be able to dry that area. Well, we need a piece of equipment that will do that. So if we weren't going to be using gas, could we substitute electric for it?
Are you talking about for leaf blowers on people's lawns?
The way it was defined when we met in June, it was defined, and this is what's in version 2, operations involving pothole patching, paving operations, snow removal, and water main break repairs. So at that point in time, it was the feeling of the Department of Public Works and the Rec Department that if we allowed it for those operations, then they would be able to ban the usage outside of that period of time.
Okay, but then we changed it again in September, and now it just reads that municipal operations are exempt.
Yes, the September change, my impression is both of these drafts were up for discussion. So I believe the one from June is more inclined to what the board had instructed, at least me to do, after we met last. And then in discussions with Jill and the departments, we had ended up with version 3 of the September.
And I thought we talked about 10 acres or more, we did want to keep the ban because they have a lot more property, they're gonna use a lot more noise pollution and other pollution on those lots. So I don't remember exempting that.
Okay,
How did that get exempted?
again, it was, maybe I had the wrong impression. Out of the meeting we had, I thought we felt that we needed to set aside for a 2-year period, a transition period, the usage on large lots to be able to use a blower. And then after that 2-year period, it would then be no usage during the main season, restricted season. So if you look at the verbiage and the summary, how helps you outline that? For large lots, 10 acres or more, version 2 allows gas and electric until 5/14/2021, then no usage after that date.
That's not what it says in the law.
In
It just
the-
exempts them entirely in the draft.
In the June draft?
Whatever draft we have here, yeah.
You should have 2 drafts. The one that's dated has draft 613
We
on
have
it.
one draft, it's black line though.
The one in your packet is
In the
dated
packet.
9/4/17.
Well, the one in the packet is the nine,
In the
they're
one
listing.
That's what
for it.
Fran's
And
referring
they
to as
just
version
handed
3.
us?
Yeah.
Okay, you just handed this to us, okay.
Right.
Up here it says.
So you have clean versions in the packet I handed out. There's a clean version of the June draft, or version 2, and the July and the September draft, or version 3.
I'm dealing with
If you
the one
remember
draft
with
that you.
the 10-acre exemption, we got emails from people basically saying that all the towns that we cited as examples are mostly have smaller lots than Newcastle. And this is gonna be,
Yeah,
this is gonna be very onerous on people with big lots. And that's, I think, how the conversation went to exempting. I understand what you're saying about people with big lots could cause more damage, but it would be a tremendous amount of work to not use a blow one if somebody who has 10 acres versus somebody who has a quarter acre where you could just rake it and, you know, it'd be a lot more labor intensive, 10
And
acres.
the June draft will ban it on large acres after 2021.
That's why it is cheaper. I mean, we're now saying people who are privileged enough to have a 10-acre lot are now exempt from this, and people who aren't now have to actually potentially spend more with their landscaping because it's gonna take more time to rake leaves or do whatever needs to be done.
I wasn't present at the meetings, and maybe we need to get the staff here, but it was my understanding, and we prepared, the face public comments given to us, it's my understanding that staff felt the technology wasn't available that would allow the law to be implemented in a fashion that was previously discussed, and that's why
I
the
feel
changes were
like
made.
we need to see these comments from the staff. Like,
It
we
was-
weren't a part of this meeting,
Oh, no,
and I'm
yeah.
very curious, I mean, I value their input tremendously,
Okay,
but we don't have it, it's hard to, you know,
Right,
just take a look
so-
at what's in front of us and to understand the changes that you've put forward without being
I'm
knowing that
happy
input.
to take and bring them in, however, the the long and the short of it is that although there is some electric equipment available, basically Ike is unable to take and prepare the fields, ball fields, without blowers.
Well, that's why I thought we exempted municipalities.
But we weren't exempted from everything, there was still a sunset date after which we can't use any motorized blowers, the date was,
May 14, 2021.
but we don't have, there is no current technology now, nor are we aware that there will be in 2021, that would give us an option to be able to switch out our gas motorized blowers for something else. So the staff's feeling is that, can we take and leave the law without a sunset date? Is that the right term?
Yep.
For now, and if it turns out that the technology catches up with where we need it to be, we'll implement it. But to put down an arbitrary date when you don't know that we're gonna be able to do it, just,
Which makes perfect sense, it's not in our control, the technology, it's not like the technology's
it's
there.
not here now.
And we're just talking about, we don't wanna have to go out and buy new equipment. We wanna at least get the useful life out of our existing equipment, that's not the case here. The technology's not there yet, and we don't know if it's gonna be there.
Well, we have to clear ball fields and parks and,
Right, and that was our point,
You
so
know,
our point was
playgrounds.
that, and if the technology exists, I'm sorry, you look so confused.
I'm just thinking that through, I mean, you know, people played baseball and played on playgrounds prior to gas leaf blowers being used the way that they are today, so.
Right, but not recently.
I think also I would be curious to know what volume outside a hurricane during the summer, but what volume would they be using during the restricted season? May 15th, September, we keep wanting to make sure that when anything is implemented, that people don't get confused between the restricted season and the non-restricted season, which would have more debris to be cleared from something like a field.
Right.
Right, so
So that would be more
maintain, so
input.
if you're talking about bowl fields, their actual main use is is during that peak period. So
You have the
they
soccer
through-
fields as well, so that would be during the peak period.
Right.
I mean, for the non-peak and peak, so the question is how much debris is coming down
Well,
during that time?
All depends, are you talking about Gedney Field, grass clippings, there's leaves, I mean, they blow the fields off on a regular basis. I'm happy to bring Ike and Jerry and Bart back in to have the discussion. They were very comfortable with this version of the law, this is as a result of their comments and the comments of the school district
I
asking
mean,
to
of
be
course, they're very
exempted.
comfortable with it because it exempts all municipal operations, so it doesn't apply to them, they're comfortable with it because
Well,
they don't have to do
I'm
it
sure that they'll
differently.
tell you that they're happy to do whatever you wanna do if we double their workforce, but I'm not
Yeah.
prepared to give them that kind of budget.
And the leaf blowers, I hate to interject, but they're not just used for leaves.
No, I understand.
They're,
So
the
that's
clumping of the grass, clumping of the clay, so it's to, prep. And I don't know, cause we were saying peak, there's no real peak season for blowers
That's right.
when they're talking about maintaining fields.
There's also liability, it's not
You know,
just a question of appearance, I mean, these are fields that people are using, and if people get hurt, they're gonna turn around and sue the town for not, and I know that from personal experience, I mean, I'm not talking about getting hurt, I'm talking about suing people. You sue the municipalities if the fields are not maintained properly, there's an assumption of risk, but it doesn't stop the litigation.
So how have other towns handled this? Have they been able to do a carve out for ball fields as opposed to the front lawn in front of a town hall or something?
Some have, but it really goes town by town. And in some towns, there is ordinance that prevent them from introducing anything other than what they're doing currently. So that was some of the restrictions we found in some of the other towns. Part of the discussion, and with all due respect to the Public Works and the rec fields, is that this is the way they're doing it now. I'm not sure, in our conversations, they were open to explore other ways to do it. I don't know well enough of their operations and how to do it to suggest that there might be a better way. But as you said, Ivy, is that there was a time, not that long ago, when there wasn't a blower, And they use mulching mowers to mow and not pick up or blow clippings, because they were just left in place. And they left fields as they were during the season, and then come the fall, they raked in those days. So we're just talking about, again, the season, when you're not having much coming down onto the fields. So what are they using it for? They're using it probably to blow clippings. And do we really need to do that? It's probably healthier not to, but I'm not an expert when it comes to gardening or lawns or running municipalities. And my opinion, and I don't know if Kathy, if you and the SAB, the rest of the SAB have the same opinion, is that if there has to be a carve out for the town, it's not the worst thing, except for the appearance.
Right.
That we're putting something through, which is restricting the everyday resident, but we're letting the municipality, the school district, and large homeowners have a free ride, either permanently or during a transition period.
Well,
Well, I
that's
think
why I
to-
think large lot homeowners should not be exempted.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
You're
But I
a
think-
resident, you're a
But
resident.
I think
Well, I thought it was for large lots because we have to treat everyone fairly, whether it's governmental or non-governmental. It was my understanding, based upon the staff, that if the technology doesn't exist for the staff to use the electric on a larger lot, well, then the same would apply to someone who has a larger lot. Someone has a smaller lot, again, it's going to be why I think you need to get staff in here to just have the discussion.
Well, but the difference is we need to clear fields, for instance, for the use of our residents. Somebody does not need to necessarily clear their backyard.
And
Unless it's a
that's-
polo field.
That's the point I was about to make, though. I think there's a compromise in that we can exempt playing fields and not exempt, like when they do landscaping in front of town hall
Right.
or at the Triangle and things like that. So we're sending the right message, and we're also keeping our sport participants safe.
Doesn't cut
Right.
anything. Randy is right up the alley.
Elsewhere?
I'm sorry, you had this,
Well,
you
we
had a
just
terrific
exempt-
chart last time.
Whatever,
Okay.
but safety.
Talk to
recreational
Facilities or
facilities or
something.
something.
Also, be sure what other municipalities.
Because there is a
Yeah.
time
Say
also, you have to get the
recreational
fields
facilities.
prepared in a timely manner and the technology with, let's say, blowers and maybe assist that, so that would be,
It was, yes.
Yes, you had created it.
that would
I mean,
definitely be something that
It was a
would
good chart.
seem less.
It was a great chart.
It was.
Would seem better to focus it on fields where it's truly needed for safety and
Right.
expediency.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is the
Because it says
call
it's
out that
on
we
the
called
map.
out in June was.
And then people wouldn't really complain about that because they don't have the same situation in their.
Right, they don't have a baseball field in their
Right.
backyard.
Well,
But I
and
do,
often-
Frankly, the
Well, don't
schools
have a
should be the
10-acre
same way.
I'm
They
not,
should clear their fields, they don't necessarily need to be clearing,
See,
you
the
know,
problem is with that is-
using leaf blowers for the median in the parking lot.
problem with the school district, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not gonna, I personally 100% wanna see the schools exempt, is because we got the email from them, it's gonna cost them, they say $100,000 more, and quite honestly, I don't need to impose, I don't wanna incur that kind of expense on them, and I don't wanna have that controversy, to be perfectly honest with you.
Mhm.
That's my opinion. I'm not willing to do that personally, if they wanna do it on their own, maybe they should, but I'm not willing to impose this legislation on them. I think they should do it themselves.
We talked about, I've mentioned it a couple times, I think it would be advantageous for us to have a conversation with the schools about being able to go into a joint contract for landscaping services. And then if we were
I think it's a
able
fabulous idea.
to join together in this, perhaps we could drive the market towards, with an explicit focus on green landscaping techniques.
I think it's a
I
fabulous idea.
I think that's a great idea too, doing it voluntarily is different than, forcing them to do it. And we could sit here and make it as strict as we want and apply it to everybody, but this is gonna be controversial, and I know we're okay with controversy, but the truth is that it's gonna get, I've said it a million times, this is gonna be worse than the plastic bag legislation. Because
way
there are
worse.
people on both sides of this issue that make valid points.
Mhm.
And we've seen it in other communities.
It's gonna be better than the plastic bag initiative. I mean, honestly, right, doesn't it
There's
have,
gonna be more controversy.
doesn't it have the,
I'm
I
talking
get
about
that,
the
I get that, but
That's
I
only
think
what I
it's
meant.
also, I think it's also like, I don't
Well,
know.
I think people are gonna
it's
be
really
more scared that people are going to continuously think that it's for their leaf cleanup, no matter how many times we tell them that it's not. They're gonna think it's for the leaf cleanup, and then they're gonna say, oh, my landscaper will have a problem, whereas if they actually talk to their landscaper, the landscaper's like, whatever. So, I think that's part of the education, right?
Exactly.
And you're messing with people's homes. It's one thing if you say you gotta bring a reusable bag to the supermarket, you're messing with people's homes. And that's gonna bring out
One
the,
could
that's
argue
gonna
they're
bring out the
messing
passion.
with my home when someone's blowing leaves in the summer day, they're messing with my home.
I get it, I'm talking about the
Right.
appearance only.
Exactly,
I
but
was
I'm
talking
saying
about the
that there's a
appearance.
counter.
I agree 100%.
Potentially the cost.
We all know the benefits, there's no question about that,
Yeah.
but I'm just talking about when you mess with people's home and the appearance of their lawn, it's gonna bring out the passion in them. That's my point.
One thing that you guys all should be aware, anybody who does their own landscaping, is I blow as much stuff, or I do as much stuff in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, literally every single week. So the concept that it's only applicable in the fall or some other time is not accurate. If you've got trees, you've got a lot of stuff on your lawn, period, end of sentence.
Well, you're right about that, the flowers and stuff that fall in the spring, and the trees.
I mean, it's just from the trees anyway, just stuff. If wind comes by, if it rains, you're gonna knock off a ton of leaves.
But doesn't mean you have to blow it every time, you can
Exactly.
also rake it.
And blowing it causes
Or
other
mulching.
problems, as we've discussed in prior sessions. There are pollutants from just blowing it and putting particles in the air.
Right.
So I'm not just talking the carbon issue.
Right.
We're talking about people's health, and there's health issues to blame.
If you agree to cut down the trees, then you don't have any problem.
It was serious.
So, if we can get a consensus of what the board wants, it would help us to move forward.
We barely had a consensus at the board here. We would have the,
And we're missing two,
Yeah.
5.
so we may have to get back to you on this.
Okay?
I'll have to,
Okay, I'm gonna request memos from my staff who were here at the meeting so that everybody can be privy to their views since everybody wasn't at the other meeting. I'm very interested, when is the date of this conference where there's going to be some,
The date has not been set. It's a joint effort between Sustainable Westchester, a group called AGZA, A-G-Z-A, which is produced the part of the handout that you have in your pamphlet.
okay,
And we would be involved, Bedford 2020, what Bedford has talked about, also being involved. We're working out details around that now. The group AGZA is a group that pushes electric blowers.
okay.
And it's not a manufacturer, it's an independent group. And they work with a bunch of different manufacturers. So they're the
We'd
ones
be
who.
very interested to see the technology that's available.
Most definitely, I agree.
That's just a huge thing to us. If there's a viable alternative out there, I think all my staff agree that they would look at this very differently. But they just knew that from what they were exposed to, they felt that they didn't have a viable alternative, so.
This legislation might be a good idea to set it down for a public hearing, because no matter what we agree with, I think it's gonna change, probably more so with this legislation. I'm not saying get worse or better, I don't know, but I just think it's gonna change a lot based on the public hearing.
That's right, I mean, I think even just the emails that we had
Yeah.
after we discussed it last time, we had, as you know, because we forwarded them on, we had a lot of emails, and,
So why should we lock into anything now?
Yes.
Let's just get the public
I think
hearing
that's
and.
What version would we put forward? The latest one, the second one? We need to set a public hearing on a
We have
version,
3 versions.
only 3.
Nick, can we put both versions out there or no? Well,
Public hearing is
put
only
one.
on-
I understand, it's one, but we'll have the backup with the other ones, and we'll
Yeah.
show people that these are all things up for consideration.
Absolutely. And then we just have to amend the one you put out there before you vote on it, but yes, we can do that.
For us to sit here and make these, what we think are definitive decisions for the public hearing, it's gonna change most
And
of
it
it.
probably is a better thing to do anyway, because that way we can start an education program
Yeah.
alongside that. And I think the education program will not gonna change people's minds totally, but I think it will persuade some people that their health is probably more important.
I don't
Then a
know,
couple
honestly, when you explained to me that blowing the leaves for a half an hour was as noxious as driving a Ford F-150 from here to Alaska,
Correct.
and I started to multiply how many times that happens per day, that was incredibly powerful information for me.
It is.
It really was.
And that's about the level of attention that people have, most people. Just to focus, no, but I'm serious.
Definitely the exception.
I'm serious though, to
I'm sorry
focus on something like that, because people, as we know, they're busy, everybody's busy.
Right.
And you just, you know, and a lot of people get their information from Facebook, and they're not getting their information from reading the packet and they're learning the facts. So you really have to keep it short and sweet with facts like that, and get that message out there.
Totally agree with you, Rob. Cause there's three different areas of pollutants. One's noise, everyone experiences that. If you work from the home, you know you can't work from your home during the summertime. The particle pollution, which I think is even worse than the carbon offset, because it's creating situations for the young and the elderly that we don't need to, and that's been documented. So I would love to start an education program and see where that takes us.
It's a good thing you can't see John's expression.
I know.
What's that? I missed what you said, Rob.
The guy behind you, Megan.
Oh, well, I
But
would
the-
expect
As
that John
vigorously
agree.
as
I know John
yes,
more than
John,
I would
it's
expect.
not
We're gonna go back to rakes and we're gonna go back to
But it's
those
good
little
that he's
round
here.
mowers that I used to use when I
push
was.
mower, I
You're
love
getting,
that.
you're getting, you're hearing
John's
the
gonna
opinion of,
We have to do something.
you're gonna hear a lot of opinions like Sean,
Most definitely.
Blame it on me.
and we will.
Other governmental entities do everything they can to
So,
But that's a good
further
point.
climate change.
But then listen, that's another argument. You know, that's
We will
another
stand
argument
in
here.
the
It's not just
shining
protecting the homes with the way it looks, you're also gonna hear about government overreach. You're gonna hear about the landscaping, putting them out of business, hardship on them, raising the costs. These are all arguments we're gonna hear. And you can make all your environmental arguments, we can make all the environmental arguments we want, and people are still gonna focus on that.
but that's where education, I think, will start to help some. And even people behind me might get educated.
Yeah, don't count it.
Well, I
No
don't
offense.
I don't mind any education, I just mind what it intrudes on our lives.
Okay, John. So, is what I'm hearing is that we should go for public hearings?
I think we should just put the most recent one.
Okay, so we'll put up number 3, we can put in the packet too, well, it's
I
got
agree with
the,
3, I mean, I
it's
think 3 was
got
based
the-
on our last conversation, but it was a
No,
while ago,
I
agree.
would like to figure out a way to carve out
We're gonna do a public hearing, we're
the
not
ball
directly.
fields and the
Yeah, because it says it
as
terrible.
opposed to, but as opposed to right now, the version 3 has
Yeah, I
an
think you're right.
exemption on all
Let's
municipal.
make it 3, put 3.5.
Yeah,
Let's carve out the one change we talked about tonight, Ivy's right. It's just creating controversy for us. Let's change it so that we basically add in what we talked about tonight.
right.
That only playing fields and I guess playgrounds, recreation facilities.
Right, and then,
But not town-owned property. You know, just recreation facilities are exempt, not town-owned property per se.
Okay, and then what about
If there were
water main
breaks.
breaks and all that other stuff?
But that stuff's
Take it
fine,
out.
that's like me,
That
That would be a
So-
normal
In the
exception, I
case of an
think.
emergency, wouldn't it fall under the emergency, the
Well, but scheduled
commissioner,
paving
DPW?
operation.
Scheduled paving is not.
That's like an operation, that's not an exempt site though. Would that be different?
Right.
It's like a,
Well, it doesn't say those sites.
But you still want the memos from staff, you wanna go ahead with a proceeding without first hearing from comments from staff as to why they may recommend these changes?
they would put that part of the as part of the packet for the first public hearing.
Maybe we should just define municipal operations.
Jill, I would agree with you. The version 2, we came up with a few operations, and we need to increase that.
Right.
That might be the better way to do it, because then at least the optics is not that the town's saying you need to do it, but we're not going to.
So you're gonna put in operation mowing? I think that might, I mean,
Well, I
is that what
think we
you're
have to,
suggesting? Because I
yeah,
think
we're
that
gonna have
comes
to talk
across
to
Right.
staff about
This
what
subsection
that
shall
is.
not apply to municipal operations involving pothole patching, paving operations, snow removal operations, and water main break repairs.
I mean, you could, I guess,
And then what
add in field maintenance, but it seems like it's not, it's almost like.
Some are privately owned recreational areas also in the town? Is there golf club, is there a?
They have golf clubs, yes.
Right.
And
Well, there are
golf
golf
clubs would
courses,
be
and I thought
a
that's what
large
the
opposition.
10 acres were for. was
So
the-
for example,
So-
what you described, like if somebody is having their driveway repaved, their driveway repaved by like Peter DeSisto,
Right,
it would seem like they would need to
he needs to use a blower.
blow, otherwise you don't have the end product that you need.
Right.
So that's not
It's part of
limited
it,
to,
yeah.
that's not limited to municipal operations,
Right.
limited to any operation.
Right.
Any operation that involves that.
And those are unusual events.
Yeah, we're still making progress, it's not perfect, but we're still,
That's why, from my standpoint, I don't have a problem in the carve out, except for the optics that might come back and hurt the discussion.
the optics are terrible to say we exempted the
Right.
town. The school is different, I mean, that's, you know, that's different grounds, that's basically just imposing our,
And if you put
Well, if you're talking,
ballparks or
but if the
something like
point
that.
is the air quality, you know, why would you? I mean,
so they should care about the air quality themselves and they can do it voluntarily, we can encourage them to do it, but I think to basically to force them to do something that they come back and say it's gonna cost $100,000, which by the way is our money, I think it's something to consider.
Can I ask, I'm sorry, I came in this late, I see this still applies to gas and electric. Was there any consideration for allowing electric? I just wanted to raise it because a number of towns have opted to permit, to ban gas but permit electric, and that does solve some of the nuance of carving out this and carving out that.
we were afraid that the technology hasn't quite made it there yet on electric. That's what our staff had reported back to us insofar as our electric options go. Rand does tell me that in October, the date to be determined, that there's gonna be some sort of symposium or demonstration of current things, and we'd be very interested to see what kind of electric options might be available to us. If it's something that we can use and we can substitute out, it's certainly something we'd be very interested in learning about.
But you're talking about for municipal operations.
But for anybody, I mean, if the choice is that you have an electric car that, you know, charges, you know, within an hour and will take you as long as a, you know, tank of gas or 22 tanks of gas, and it's the same exact thing, then you can limit one versus the other, but right now, from what our staff has explained to us about electric blowers, the battery life is very limited. You'd have to buy several batteries and it takes 7 to 8 hours to recharge them. And so we would not be able to clear even one of our fields using electric. So if that's what the electric option is, it's not really an option as of this point yet. It doesn't mean that technology won't be there in a couple of years, but it's just not something that, you know, we thought was a viable option.
Which was originally why we had the 2-year sunset provision.
Right.
No, but I
Because
think
the
what-
feeling is that in 2 years we would have the technology there, but you don't know.
I don't
Tracy's,
know.
but some towns do allow electric all year round and people are using,
Right, but
electric
they're not
blowers.
for municipal.
I know, forget about municipal.
I am
Yeah,
kind of
residents.
distinguishing about residential versus municipal, and the reason
Okay.
why is that like version 2 lists all of these different things that relate to residents, and we're talking about all these carve-outs and exceptions, and the doing an electric, allowing an electric for residents might address something, so you don't have to have all of that detail and nuance. It makes it more simple, it might be more palatable, and it is consistent with what a number of towns are doing.
I think that has to be a fallback position.
I know, and I raised it
Because-
here, right, yeah.
Right, you guys have the 3 criteria that you're trying to, 3 boxes we're trying to check with this legislation. And moving from gas to electric only checks one of those boxes, right? It
I
doesn't do
thought
any,
two.
no, it doesn't do anything but noise, and it doesn't do anything about the,
I think it helps
It's
noise.
It's slightly
Whatever that
It
It's
slightly
reduced
reduces
noise.
noise and particles
Oh.
because
It's not as powerful.
it's
Okay.
not as powerful. What will probably happen as we move down the road, my assumption, is they'll become more powerful and then it won't check off
Any of the boxes.
any of the boxes except for the carbon offset part of it.
Right.
Well, so,
So,
one of it.
but that's yet to be
that's
seen.
why-
because
I do
we're
agree,
not there
I
yet.
do agree, fallback, and I didn't know if it was considered, because when you're dealing with a complete ban, we have all of these other issues that.
And are we saying it's, wait, I have to step out for a second. like golf courses are not exempt
They would be exempt with the 10-acre thing.
Yes.
with the 10-acre thing, but we're trying to differentiate between, I guess, commercial versus residence. To me, there's a difference between a golf course and somebody who owns a 10-acre lot.
But I'm sorry, the reason we made it 10 acres was to be able to not differentiate as much on the fact if it's a resident or a commercial as much as anyone with large lots. That was why that was introduced, that in the fashion it was. I think it was felt
Somehow
that
it
was a
just
better way to
doesn't
do
sit
it.
right with me.
That's
That if
fine.
you're lucky enough to have a house with 10 acres, you don't have to abide by this law. But if you have 2 or half an acre or whatever it is, that you do have to abide by the law. Somehow there's a differentiation between that and a commercial golf course or something where they're really trying to run a business.
The truth is also, if somebody has 10 acres, they're not really talking about 10 acres of lawn. You're
Right.
talking about
10 acres of
maybe
woods.
2 acres of
Right.
lawn
Right.
and 8 acres of woods, and now they can use a blower on their 2
Right.
acres of lawn, when a 2-acre piece of property can't.
It was not in our original discussion, the 10-acre, I think it came from somewhere within.
It came in the last working session meeting that we had.
Right. So why don't we just,
I think we gotta understand what happened in the work session meeting and read those memos that we're gonna get and I guess get back to you
we
guys.
could also just exempt the golf course if we want, right?
Right.
And get rid of the 10-acre
And I believe
thing.
version 1 did that. Version 1, if I remember correctly, exempted municipalities, schools, and country clubs.
Yes, so maybe that's the best way to, maybe we should do that. Do you wanna go back to that for version, we're talking about, I don't know if you were here, we talked about like a version 3.5. So we add in the thing, we don't wanna have municipals being exempt and create all that controversy when
Right.
that's not what we intend to do right now.
Right.
And also maybe go back to the thing where it's, we just exempt country clubs and golf courses and get rid of the 10-acre thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it
I
the
did-
school or
I-
religious
I had-
organizations too?
We
Right.
did an analysis though of
Is
how
that
many,
exempt already? Oh, that's not exempt,
I'm sorry, say again.
religious organizations.
Schools and religious organizations.
But what's the basis
For a school.
for a school or religious organization? Why is a religious organization treated differently than a business or a, for the purposes of the law? If the
Right,
purpose of the
I
law
agree.
is air quality, then you've got an issue there.
and I'd be
You
concerned.
don't need a clean
Tracy's
lawn,
doing-
right?
Knowing that
to-
the religious organizations are 10 acres or more.
For cost.
I don't think they are.
But we're not,
Right,
about
but
getting
you
rid of the
need,
10-acre thing.
but I guess the point is with, you know, the schools and fields, we're saying there are safety reasons we'd wanna do that and as well as cost reasons, but
Correct.
something like a religious organization doesn't necessarily need to be clearing their lawn the way we do for a ball field.
Well,
Or
we
the
could
way a
also-
golf course does.
We could also talk to the school about,
Well, the schools on the
we could also talk to the school about following the same lead as us. You could use the blower on the ball fields, which is 90% of their property probably, right? But then you
Right.
can't use it on like,
That's right, so
On
like the
the
median
And
in
it's
the
consistent with us, right, exactly.
parking lot doesn't
Right,
need
keep
to
it
be
consistent
blown,
with us.
but a field does.
and that's consistent with the golf course too. We don't have to talk about golf courses, and
Recreation
Right,
fields.
so
it's
it's
just recreation facilities.
Recreation
It covers the golf
facilities.
course, it covers the
Mhm.
pit playing fields, it covers the
Right.
Playground.
playgrounds,
Playgrounds, right.
country clubs, it's all covered in there.
Does the town use blowers to clear off like the parking lots in the train station, or is it just the sweeper?
They use both, they do the street sweep, well,
I've never seen it.
They use blowers
they use blowers
The
for
sidewalks?
for the sidewalks.
for that and for the parking lots.
But for the parking lot itself?
Really, we don't use street sweepers, why would we use blowers?
Well, you probably do, but it just, I've seen, you know, they've gotta do whatever they've gotta do.
I mean, we do use blowers sometimes if we get a light snow.
I asked
We
if-
actually do that for,
And-
instead of sweeping.
Snow
Well, but that
removal, I
would
don't
be
think should be
exempt,
part of it.
snow, like
Right,
here,
yeah, that
we
would
have
be-
that for
yeah.
municipal operations during storms and
That's
things like
restricted.
that.
I will
Yeah.
ask about
I'm devil's
that.
advocating on at a religious or school where if there were large amounts of pedal in the spring and it became a slick area, like
Right.
what would be the protocol for safety?
I feel like if it's a playground, then that falls under,
This would be a parking lot.
But parking
Oh,
lot
parking lot.
walkways where, you know, you have a magnolia tree and all the leaves come down in the spring and then you know, it's a rain and then all of a sudden you've got this whole slick surface there. And you sweep it.
Sweep it.
You rake it.
Well, you could vacuum it up. Sweet super.
Yeah, but it's not, remember, it's not just leaves, it's, a lot of it's street dirt, it's.
Yes,
it's
it's vacuum.
moving a lot of stuff.
You have a street sweeper.
The sweeper is a much better.
It's
We
much-
need a
much
Roomba
better.
for the parking lots.
But if you think about a
They call it a billy
street
goat,
sweeper
actually,
versus blowing it, it's much more environmentally friendly, it's as far as the emissions and the particles.
Right, it gets wiped
Even the noise.
down first and then.
Right.
The more complicated you make it, the tougher it is.
Well, no, we're simplifying, we're basically saying
That's
your
right, just
recreational
simplify it.
activities, which applies to all the things we mentioned.
Okay, so recreational facilities, good.
To get rid of the 10-acre thing.
Okay, eliminate 10-acre, got it.
Then what else do we talk about? What, do we wanna get rid of the date for the 2021? Can we revisit it? We have a date to revisit it to see if the technology is like,
Well, we could have.
like a sunset already.
You're right, sunset where you'd be forced to renew it, but right now it wouldn't take effect until 2020, so there's nothing to sunset.
Correct.
So it's a reverse.
Right.
Why doesn't this take effect until 2020? Why not 2019?
No, the
Default
electric.
Well, it's
Full
not-
ban.
2021 it takes effect.
2021, okay.
But do we wanna put something in there where we don't have something that says 2021 as a definitive date? Can we put something in there that basically says we'll revisit it in 2021 to see if the technology is almost to show like the goal, you know?
So some of the municipalities made the whole Laura sunset law, so that, you know, it was in effect for 2 years and be revisited in 2021. I'm not saying it's the way for us to go, but that was one way that they felt that they can have the least amount of resistance, because it was like a trial period.
Right, and then it
It's
requires
not-
an
it's not a
affirmative
bad
step
idea.
to re-adopt it, if you
To re-adopt
will.
it, right.
It's not a bad idea because then we can revisit the technology at that point.
Right.
I'm sorry, what goes into, so does something go into effect right away and then something, this chart, I don't know why it's not working for me today.
It would mean that the ban on gas, the gas would only be allowed, you could only use a gas mower until this date in 2021. And then after that date, it's prohibited outright.
So we're saying instead of having certain things kick in on, in May 14, 2021, we're actually saying the law will sunset at that point and then we will re-examine it to determine if the technology is at a point where we can now like mandate electric blowers instead of gas.
Right. It's acknowledging that the electric blowers might not be at the point they need to be today, and therefore you'll have a period in which we will then take a look at the issue again.
So it's a way to look into the future without actually mandating it.
By then Tesla might be making leaf blowers.
They're already making blow torches, so.
Maybe that's the way to do it at least.
Really get out
Then
your
you can bust
frustrations.
him on the next side.
Maybe with all the environmental change that's happening, we won't have leaves anymore.
There you
I
go.
won't go there.
So, you clear, I think we have enough here to rework this.
Yes, we're gonna rework it, we will provide the board with another draft, along
draft.
with memos from staff. And can I bother you, for,
Yes.
I'm thinking maybe your PowerPoint presentation
Sure.
that you did, I'd like to be able to, we'll definitely do that again, but I either a memo or the PowerPoint, just so, when the packet goes out, you know, when the draft is circulated, all the information, and Nick, I'll just take you a chart as well.
Okay.
Who's the audience for the PowerPoint?
We can upload those to the website, we can create a spot on the
Yeah, I thought
website
we
for
did already.
lead
The
blowers.
point is that when the law gets circulated,
Okay.
we want to sort of have something behind it to people can put it in context.
So I'm
Yes,
gonna
they
make a
understand.
push to get the people to come to the SAB website. On there, we have an educational video, which is the PowerPoint presentation scaled down to that audience.
We might have already, I don't know.
And, but I can surely pass that on.
Okay, that'd be great.
But what do we resolve around the 2021 issue? I feel like we haven't really
We haven't.
resolved that. Do we want to leave that in? Do we want it to sunset? Do we want something in essence we revisit it? It seems like those may be the three options. Maybe there's more.
No, I think that's probably a good summary of it.
I think the sunset would
Well,
be
it would
good in the
force us
sense
to
that it
revisit
would,
it.
it it would force us to revisit it, and it may give some people who are opposed to it some comfort in knowing that it's only temporary. I'm not saying that's the right way to go, I'm just pointing out the benefits of that approach.
I personally would either do that or just don't put a date in it at all.
Just be silent as far as the electric issue?
Yeah, then you could
guess that's a
always,
poor
you know,
choice.
if there's a tremendous amount of pushback, you could always put it in as a sunset. That would be a concession.
So leave it out for now, and then we could, after the public hearings, decide how to handle it. But then we want feedback on that, though, that's the thing.
If you want feedback, then ban them both will get you the feedback.
Yeah,
And then you can react to that.
You don't want that much feedback.
But I think it's important for the community to be able to voice, and then for people to understand, you know, why would you want to support it? And there will be people who will never support it.
Right.
But I mean, I personally, when the garbage went to 2 day, one day, I was like, no way. And someone said, oh, I barely have anything for the second day. And I thought, oh, yes, right. You know, it's, you know, once
The
it's
knee
just.
jerk is always, no, that's a terrible idea.
Exactly, no way,
So,
you know,
I
so
resist change.
and they feel like something's being taken away versus something's being given. Like a little bit fresh air, a little bit more quiet, a little less pollution. And
So how does that tie into the 2021 meeting?
So which way do you end up?
Yeah, so what's,
Where do you fall?
So you wanna go back to two
Might
day
be
a week?
moving
You
I'm a
know,
2019 graduate. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, so she's for the 2021 sunset, I can see this.
No, I fear that if you put a sunset of the rule, that it will become a political debate for someone who wants to, you know, for an election year, or someone will make a decision,
That's
they'll
a
be
good point.
concerned. You know, you either have to stand with it, and there would have to be a really abiding reason why it would have to be overturned, such as, I don't know what they would be.
That's a good point.
so why don't we just leave it in there? Leave it in there as is with a sort of acknowledgement that we need to study the technology and make sure that the technology, if we feel confident that the technology will be there in 2021.
But I guess
So
if the
what is it, you're
technology
leaving it-
gets better, that it works,
Leave it in as
then you
is.
have the same issues as the gas blowers for the most part.
Well, I guess you
Other than the
could-
carbon emissions, but you have the same issues then with the allergens and everything else that's getting swept up and the noise. The only thing maybe is with carbon emissions, but if they get to the point that they're useful, you're kind of in the same place.
And wouldn't gardeners, and to Lisa's point, just like, you know, people buy electric vehicles, I mean, if I can get an electric leaf blower, if I'm a gardener, I get an electric leaf blower that's as effective as a gas, seems to me electric is better, I don't have to stand, you see these guys at the gas station filling up all their gas tanks.
Well, and the,
Costs money.
and the
The
smog
cost-
around them, yeah,
The
would
cost
help.
of running a gas blower is about $2,000 a year more than electric.
Yes, I mean, these
Those
guys
studies,
can do
I
it.
can produce those studies.
That's
Who wants to
what
pay
we're
for
all-
But I
gas?
guess
So
it's,
they
we
would
can
use
always
it more
revisit
than-
and change, right.
You know, and Lisa, the only thing I can say on your part is that it's predicting the future is gonna be difficult at this point, to know
Right.
whether as they get, electric becomes better, whether they just get noisier and
Right.
more forceful.
Well, that's what I was gonna say, we
Just
can
a-
always it's a law,
So
it
we
can
leave it
always
out.
be amended and if it makes sense in the future.
We'll leave out the gas entirely, we'll leave out the electric entirely to see what happens.
Okay, let's go back to coal.
Let's go back.
Just don't be the poor
So the
person who has to
intent is
mine it.
have both of them banned after 2021?
No, so are we banning them both after 2021 or we're just not putting a date in?
Just maybe leave that whole thing out.
So just
I'm
ban
so confused.
gas during,
So
ban
gas.
both during the season and allow them after season.
Right.
Because the way we spoke about the 2021 was that after 2021, there would be no gas usage any part of the year. But electric would be allowed
Right.
for the homeowner to use after 2021.
Yeah, this-
No one can use it during
But
the
the
season.
law that's gonna be proposed will not have a year limitation.
That's what I'm hearing.
Just restricted season
Wait,
from,
but now we've just weakened it. Now we've just said you can always use gas in
indefinitely?
Just in off-season.
No, just in off-season.
Just an off-season,
The
but
unrestricted season after
what we, but our going in right here was you can use gas in the off-season until 2021, and then you gotta switch to electric in 2021. So we just weakened it.
No, because what
We
happens
just
if
shot a
electric
hole
is
in
just
the
as.
ozone layer. Right? No, I mean, that's what we did, we just agreed to weaken it.
It does weaken
Yes.
it,
Yes.
absolutely.
I don't actually understand the,
I know.
I actually really didn't understand the argument you made about a political issue. If you're allowing gas until a certain date, my thought was you were allowing gas off-season until a certain date to allow people to transition to either none or electric. I don't know why that would be a political, that's the date in the law, I don't understand why that's.
The political
I think
was
the
if you
sunset.
were gonna sunset an entire law.
And then you have to base
Oh,
the
yeah,
law.
yeah, yeah.
Right,
No,
right.
no, but I actually kind of like the idea of
Yeah.
allowing gas off-season, which really is the big leaf season, until, for a couple of years, until you can transition and talk to gardeners and maybe technology gets better, and then allow electric after that date,
Okay, so leave it in.
only in the off-season.
Yeah,
So
it really
leave it in.
does depend on the technology advances.
So we're leaving in that gas, just to be clear, make sure I understand it, the gas is allowed until May 14th, 2021,
Correct.
and then what are we
Then
doing?
it's only
In the
electric.
off-season
And then only
only.
electric
In
after
the
that.
off-season, and that's only electric.
Gas allowed.
But gas
So
is banned
more what
completely,
version 2
all,
says.
right, so gas will be banned 4 seasons all year after May 14th, 2021?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
I guess you could put some sort of
the
caveat that
general
if the
rule.
technology is proven that the technology does not have the equivalent, I mean, could you do something like that?
You can always change a law, so
Yes.
we can just know that we have to look
Put a
at it.
footnote
If we all of
somewhere.
a sudden are seeing technology is changing, you can always,
Isn't sufficient.
So does this
Yeah.
apply to
Change the
municipal
law.
and school and everybody as well?
That's a fair question.
Does
So,
this,
what's the question?
does this limitation of gas allowed until 2021 and after 2021 completely banned and electric only after 2021, does that apply to municipal recreation fields?
no, because those are already
Recreation
exempt.
facilities.
Those are already
Those are already
exempted.
Okay,
Applies only to those.
You would just want to confirm that the time period as well as the type of
yeah.
blower applied to the exemptions. And they do.
Okay.
Okay. All right, good. Making progress until we change it again.
So, just so for my clarity,
Version, fast forward,
Okay.
version
for
27.
my clarity, are we going to a public hearing next? Or we're gonna meet again and then decide about the public hearing?
I personally say a public hearing, but that's just my.
Yeah.
I think we should, I think a lot of what we're doing is we're
Yeah.
going in circles, let's hear what the people.
I think we can have a public hearing, we can always make it up
We'll
any
revise it, we'll
time.
change it, make sure it's consistent with everyone's
Yeah.
understanding
We
of
don't
the
have
discussion,
to
and then we'll
close the public
We'll set
hearing
it
so
up.
quickly
put it on to
or.
the board, schedule a public hearing, and we'll need your backup documentation so we can put it in context.
Most definitely.
And then what are we
we'll
doing
supply-
about private paving and stuff like that? That's being
Yeah,
I
because
think
we're
that
gonna
applies
exempt
as well, yeah.
And the reality is also that, like with any controversial thing, the more public hearings the better. So rather than us sitting around and having these work sessions, let's do it in a public hearing, and then at the end of the day, we can say we had 10 public hearings, we've heard from everybody.
maybe fewer than.
Everybody.
We just create a fear that it's
Heard from
being
the same people
pulled
10
for the
times.
fall leaf season. That
Got
would be
it.
the
That's a good
one
point.
thing we wanna make sure is that
It's
this
alright, you know,
is-
by the time we agree on something, it'll be well,
This
snow
fall
will
leaf
be on the
season?
ground.
That's
Don't
starting
even-
like now?
Yeah, don't even,
As
don't.
soon as
But
you
that should
mention
be
a
the first slide.
restriction,
I
people
mean,
are
it should
going to
refer to
think,
this
they're
law
gonna
is
jump on
adopted
it
shall
thinking
not
it's
be-
Yeah, no, we'll make
starting
sure they know.
Yeah.
it's
tomorrow.
I think it's a very valid point.
And they won't be able to blow their leaves, and then that's how rumors
No,
get
no,
started.
it's a
But I
public
think
hearing
the
to
first point in this
discuss
PowerPoint,
the
and the first point
possibility
in the
of
memo summary, it
banning.
should say,
A
please note, this law shall not
Spring
take effect.
implementation, maybe we could
Yeah.
use those words, a
Spring.
spring
Yes.
implementation of a restriction.
Spring into fresh air.
Yeah, I would let this all blow over.
Bring it to
Oh,
fresh air.
Nick,
No?
just with a matter of
No?
time.
I was holding back on that one.
Were you really? I thought to myself, I can't believe we're gonna make it through this entire thing and not one pun out of Nick. I was like, wow.
Specific to this or all the time?
This is what he's known for.
Yeah.
Got
It's
it.
reputation
It's
for
new
secrecy.
for me. No, no.
So one of the discussions we had at the SAB in this working group was community days coming up and whether we should bring this up to the public at community days education.
Sure, make sure your booth is right next to John.
I'm gonna suggest that perhaps you wanna
I think
talk
yes.
about
That SAB, the SAB
when in
doesn't
doubt,
have a
throw it
policy.
out and trying to maintain the
So when in
purity.
doubt, throw it out. I said that to Steve, that I do not believe that message should come from Steve, the SAB.
What message?
When in doubt, throw it out.
You know what, I knew
yeah, I
Seb
don't-
would have problems with this, but at some point, we need to acknowledge the current.
Oh, so we have a
State.
whole brochure that we've been working on, like
Great.
to hand out that day, and education.
Perfect.
But I did
As
say,
long as it's
and this
not
is my
updated, that's
opinion,
okay.
I am not speaking on behalf of Steve.
I agree.
I do not feel that it is the SAB's responsibility to promote a when in doubt, throw it out.
Really? Cause it was a member of SAB who brought it to the board, but that's
Oh,
okay.
no, yes, because of the concerns, but I mean, then you're gonna be getting into the RFP and all that.
if people commingle and get the trash in the recycling, then we end up throwing out all of the recycling and
More
none of it
effective
gets
recycling.
recycled.
Right, but that's again, now we're talking, what is the technology, what is best practices, what is this, so,
I think
I think in
the
education
problem
first.
with the when in doubt, throw it out is it also gets people to be lazy, when if you
Yeah.
clean something, you
think we
could
should have a
actually
competition.
recycle it as opposed to just.
I think we
Right.
should have a competition where people curate their recycling and then take pictures of their beautifully curated recycled bins.
Would you like to see what I took pictures of, the beanbag chair and the foam float?
That was in the recycling bin.
Yeah.
Well, therein lies the problem.
That's just
Yes.
education, nobody in their right mind thinks
What
that
did-
the
what did-
styrofoam
what did you
float
call it?
should be
Aspirational
recycled.
recycling?
Yeah, someone dump it, and that's illegal. Technically.
I've used that.
But you know what, you don't need to illegally dump in this town, we will pick up
I
everything
know.
free of charge, and
People
yet,
don't realize,
People
yeah.
jumped on my idea, I'm gonna start it on my own.
I
My
think it's a great
neighborhood's
idea,
gonna have
I think the point though is that,
beautiful recycling.
you know,
Enjoy.
I'm with you.
I think education, so like a pizza box, for example,
A grease.
let me just backtrack
That
for a
was
second.
interesting,
Like
but
Lisa's,
we were like,
Lisa's
what?
point about getting people to clean out the recycling stuff, I think is a great campaign. And combine that with an education campaign, because like a pizza box you can't clean. So you gotta be able to tell people you just can't recycle a pizza box. But as far as the other
Unless
stuff.
it's clean.
Yeah, but it's
Like
always
when
gonna
I
have like
buy
grease
raw
on it.
dough, it's very clean, there's
Yeah,
nothing in
exactly.
it.
Right, well, you're gluten free, it could be a gluten free pizza.
It's true.
But
Probably some sort of grease
but the
on
point
it.
is though, it should be,
Once
a
it's-
good campaign would be clean out your recycles unless you're gonna ruin the whole
Yeah, there
batch.
definitely has to
Right.
be a
Recycling bin
new,
anyway.
more information in that. It's definitely something we reviewed it with Michael, and so that he is comfortable with what's on there. But I think there is still an overall, education, and I think, when is the recycling contract up?
in a couple of years.
Couple
Couple
years?
years.
There's a
So, yeah.
7-year contract and we did it in my first year and I'm in the 5th year now.
So we'll have
So
to
we have 2 more years.
obviously put all those components in there. That's getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
But I also don't know what the they had this intern monitoring. Every time I was at the recycling center, that poor guy was chasing down someone.
Yep.
So, I mean, every time, I mean, we're not talking it was every other time, it was every time I was there. So, does that mean we need better signage in front of the bins without restricting them to be pulling in and out? When is it that the town has to say, you know what, that beanbag chair is really illegal dumping? This is above my pay grade. But we definitely are passing out some things at Community Day regarding more informed on recycling, and we try to direct people to our website. There was a lot of flack about no plastic bags being recycled, but once we explained why it was a problem and the alternatives, it settled down. So the alternatives, and I think Jill was saying is, we will pick up that beanbag chair or that floaty in your garbage, so just leave it there. Then people are trying to do good, but I think sometimes they just think, well, someone will take it and recycle it. But back to what we were talking about for Community Day, I think we would probably have some sort of information, Community Day, and we will probably hear some opinions, and then we're gonna maybe have we'll just tell them to email
Yeah, so as long as the town board doesn't have any issue, we'll start to introduce the subject matter at Community Day.
And we talked about it very publicly and openly. It was talked about in a supervisor's report, I think, a year or 8 months ago. It was brought up in a recent article.
There was a public presentation here too that
Yeah.
Bobby
Yeah,
posted.
There
about
was-
cleaning the recycling stream.
There was an article in Inside Chappaqua this month about leaf blower consideration, so it's not, we're not hiding it, we don't wanna hide it, we want people to bring
No,
their
but they're
opinions.
gonna ask questions
Yeah,
about what does the
no.
restriction mean, and you can't answer them, because we don't have, we're only gonna be starting it,
So yeah, so we'll say, but we just wanna make sure
Say,
we
well, there's
have
gonna be a
deals.
public hearing and nothing
Part that we can
decided.
the part that we can educate on is the pollutants that are caused by using.
Yeah,
Whether the
sure.
hazard
One
of
of
it.
the major
The-
things
the
that the
benefits
SAB is
of
working
other
on
bans.
this year is, here's the reason
Right.
why.
with the recycling.
Yeah, what are we talking about, the recycling or the leaf blower?
Leaf blower, I'm talking about leaf blower.
I know, but we were really hoping that you guys would do something about trying to just keep the recycling stream a little bit cleaner.
Oh, that's what you were saying?
So again,
That's
the
a priority.
recycling is
I missed
another
that.
component, and one of the volunteers has already supported, like, I think, what did she say, what are her exact words should she say? We have been doing a lot on recycling, just not, and it just so happens, I have been helping with that, so I can answer those questions, cause not everybody on the board is here. But, what did she say, yes. Oh, and the one thing I did say is that the town should be making the copies of that if she was gonna, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I don't know, maybe just faster her, she may have already done it. Let's see, what did she say? Susie.
Who is she?
Susie Novak, I
Yeah,
apologize.
Susie should definitely know that she just needs to, she can either make copies here, or if she's
okay.
going out somewhere, she just needs to,
Oh, she could come
Take it.
here and make the copies?
she can, otherwise she can go someplace and do it, it's just that she uses our tax exempt form, so we don't get charged tax, and there is a budget line for committees for this very reason.
I will totally let her know.
She should know that.
What
Just
did she
remind her.
say? Oh, what did she say? She wants to have hold on, Susie is managing this, a reduced waste station at Community Day with containers for garbage, food scraps, one recycling. So she's doing a reduced waste. We're also doing a section on the recycling
Yeah.
and the new type of guidelines, or not new, but the guidelines we're trying to encourage the residents to follow. And there'll be handouts, I'm gonna take pictures of those, I'm gonna print those pictures of the floater in the
So we were just having a sidebar that if you guys have sort of beautiful handouts and graphics and stuff, it hasn't been discussed, the recycling issues in the supervisor's report yet. And we could start doing that too.
Well, what I told them, at one of the SAB meetings I went to, haven't been to one in a while, but we could do a whole e-newsletter about it,
Yeah,
about the
great.
recycling issue.
That'd be great.
We just have to have the information and then we start the education campaign. I mean, it's big enough that it warrants its whole newsletter and to get the message out.
And we definitely had put stuff on our website, but we don't also want to circumvent what the messages that our DPW is communicating, so we don't want to contradict anything. So we do work with Michael and we run things by him, and it's just, it's relatively easy for me to go into our website and update it. I don't know how easy it is to update. If we change something, I can have it up in 10 minutes on our website if I'm not in meetings
So
all day.
Kathy, what you're suggesting is that DPW be the author in the sense of anything that's in the newsletter.
They need to
Just
bless
the
it, they need to bless
Okay.
it, it's a partnership, yeah, yeah, so I wouldn't want to issue any statements, and we do this now, we make sure we run it by Michael, because
Yeah.
he can't be surprised.
No, I very appreciate it, and we're all trying to achieve the same thing, so it's, to speak with one voice.
We're just a tool.
Yeah, no,
But
Yeah.
it could be
and a very effective one, so.
But it could be the two-pronged approach, which is the education, when in doubt, throw it out, education and clean it out. And we could there's probably some cute thing out there that rhymes.
Right, and I'm sure that by the time we take and do this, we will have the local law for the leaf blowers, and we can incorporate that as well, and just, raise awareness, throw everything in there, and just, encourage people to.
When in doubt, clean it out.
But don't
He's
throw it
the
Okay?
word.
You sure you're not marketing?
He's the word.
We're working on it. Thank you guys so much. Anything
Thank
else
you.
for us?
No, that's,
Alright, we'll
that's my
move
agenda.
on to our
Thank you.
6:30 to 7:45 work session.
Thank you.
Alright.
Whoops.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
So we have a draft of a sidewalk ordinance because we need to do something with it. So where we left off last time was is that I've spoken to Jerry because we've already started our internal budget process for the 2019 budget. I spoke with Jerry about our ability to within the parking district, maintain the new sidewalks that we're going to have out, which may or may not be for this year, but it's nice to know that we're ahead of the game. We should be able to maintain the sidewalks within the parking district. Those sidewalks go from the Historical Society down to Town Hall, Lower King, the train station, and up to, I wanna say Susan Lawrence and the vet. It ends right at Rite Aid. Okay? Everything else is outside the sidewalk district, but there are still sidewalks there.
So we were gonna expand this then.
Well, the problem is it's not a sidewalk district, it's a parking district.
Right, we were gonna call it a
Right.
sidewalk district.
I know, but
Yeah.
the issue is that the parking district provides parking for merchants. And we do not have the ability to take and expand to 7 merchant parking spots for each additional business that we would be moving into in order to incorporate them into the parking district.
Wait, I thought we were gonna create a sidewalk district separate from the parking district that would accommodate
And-
those
and-
properties that were
and-
not a part of the parking district.
And that's something that we can consider, but that's actually a relatively long-term process, that's obtaining 51% of the ad valorem. It's a petition, you have to ask people to sign into it.
To bifurcate it, it's a petition?
Yeah, well.
No, you'd be creating a new sidewalk district that would be superimposed over a portion of the parking district and would encompass new districts, is what I understand, correct?
Right, so I wouldn't put it on top of, I would put it on, around it.
Have this conversation.
Right, okay, yeah, that's the other way to, yes.
Okay.
Wait, isn't the current parking district is a parking / sidewalk district, right?
Right, Nick's, well, I'll let Nick speak for himself, but when we had discussions, his comment was is that because one of the obligations of the town within the parking district was to clear the mounds of snow along the curbside to allow people to be able to park, that he felt that we could take and expand that to be the care of sidewalks in general, which would mean we would be the ones who swept and maintained it, cleared it of snow in general, not just the mounds. So that area exists already, but there are sidewalks outside of that district. And I know that we talked about taking and expanding the parking district, but that has problems because we only have a limited amount of parking, so I wouldn't recommend that as an option.
I thought we were talking about creating a second district called a sidewalk district. So we have the parking district, we take care of those sidewalks for the parking district, but we also create a second sidewalk district.
Right, so in speaking to staff, Jerry's feeling is that he was not even he wasn't particularly in favor of us even taking over the parking district and maintaining the sidewalk. He feels that it is going to be tremendously labor intensive and he's going to need to hire quite a number of staff to be able to handle it.
Can we do it on contract?
We can try, but with prevailing wage, it's very problematic. You see the problems we have just with our island contractor and things like that. It's difficult. His suggestion was, can we at least start with the parking district and see, excuse me?
Go get some high school kids, a couple dollars an hour.
Not in this town, no.
Yeah, right, that's right, not in this town, they definitely want more than the prevailing wage.
and only if they can actually stay in the little, you know, bobcats and do it from the warmth and, you know, the music. So the suggestion was initially that we see what kind of manpower we're actually going to need just for the parking district. And see what kind of, you know, a financial hit we're gonna take from that. But we still need to address just sidewalks in general through town. I think the board has to just at least
I mean,
figure out what the
right,
hours
it's two
are.
separate issues. One is the time in which the sidewalks need to be cleared, and then we can work on.
All the other things.
It's not a separate issue because the reason that the two are linked is that the individual property owners and homeowners that are responsible for clearing their sidewalks in accordance with whatever legislation we end up passing and the current legislation, under the current legislation, that is onerous for them.
But it's-
And so by having the town take over those responsibilities, we were going to shift that burden from those property owners to the town. And that felt like
I
something we were all
thought
in
the
favor
issue
of.
was not so much that, but that we wanted them to use certain things on it
And
so that
that's
we
not
wouldn't
all-
erode
yes.
the.
It's not
Thank
only
you.
sidewalks,
Yes.
what are they, we're not doing all the sidewalks up all over King Street.
Oh, that's
You're
true.
talking about the King Street sidewalk that extends from, the real estate agency, forgive me, I forget which one it was, Homes and Kennedy maybe?
Yeah.
All the way up to Rite Aid, that's not being replaced, it's an old sidewalk. I mean, it's a perfectly fine
Right.
condition, but it's not brand new, it
You mean
doesn't
up
need any
to-
special care.
To Walgreens.
Walgreens.
Right. Right, that's true.
But even if you were to go with a sidewalk district, come with that solution, I don't see that, given the process you have to go through, that you're gonna have it done in time for this winter. So you still have that issue where the current law says clear it within, what is it, 24 hours?
Yeah, it's not.
And everyone agreed 24 was too much, so we should at least reduce it from 24 to something less than 24.
I'm sorry, I guess I'm just confused because we had this conversation, it wasn't that long ago, it was like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we talked about expanding our parking district to include a new sidewalk district and having the town take over those
But I
responsibilities.
can't just do it like that.
I hear you, but what is it gonna take? Like what's the delta there? Like just
We
coming
need-
back and saying it's a no, like
I'm
what
not
do we
saying
mean
it's a no,
no?
we're about to start our budget season.
Uh-huh.
And Rob Deary will take and present to the board what this $18 million bond payment looks like this year with 2 interest payments. And what the additional manpower is going to take for us to be able to handle hiring staff to be able to just maintain the sidewalk.
So I guess that's what I'm
Pay into
asking
the
for, is that
sidewalk district.
analysis.
Excuse me?
People pay into the sidewalk district, right?
Yes, they do.
So we're
No,
thinking it's not
into the
gonna-
parking
I'm-
district.
Parking,
Right,
well, and
no,
whatever
but it's not going
sidewalks
to,
we,
right, it is not, but.
it's not gonna cover the additional labor that would be required.
Absolutely not.
But I
We
thought
don't
the
know the
idea was
delta.
that when the parking district payments
Yes.
sunset, that we would continue to have them make those payments.
Right.
Such that that's how we would cover those costs.
We would cover the cost of that labor, but you're talking $100,000 a year for a labor between hiring them and their benefits. So maybe it's 75 the first year, the next year it's 80.
Is
but
it
that's-
benefits, it's not like a seasonal worker?
It was our belief that we,
They don't
in-
hire seasonal workers.
Yeah. It's hard to get, we do hire minimal seasonal laborers, we do. It's problematic, they're not reliable, and because we are going, we're gonna take over the sweeping and the cleaning and everything else downtown in Millwood, we need additional peoples. We also were, after the our less than stellar performance by our grass contractor this year, Recreation is taking a long hard look at whether or not that's a task that we should be taking in-house, and what would that cost? For 6 months, it was $60-something thousand. Most of our islands weren't touched the entire summer, and the next lowest bidder was $125,000. And so the question I asked Ike to take and crunch some numbers and tell me. So it's how much staff are we going to
Well,
hire
but that's
and what we
also seasonal, so maybe you hire
And it
one
may
person
be that
to
we
do
can
both.
do it, but I don't wanna, but we need to figure out what those numbers are, and whoever I would hire for that would be the person that then helps with the shoveling in the
Right,
parking
right.
district. But to expand that onto a full sidewalk district, Jerry's telling me I need 2 to 3 people to expand it up. I'm asking him to try it just with one, and let's just see how bad it is. If he had his druthers, he'd do 3. I can't afford 3.
So we should have that discussion in the budget meetings. But right now, why do we have to change the sidewalk law?
Because
For this
24 hours
winter.
to have somebody clear the sidewalk is too long.
I know, we've had it for years though.
And
Well, that's
and
what
we have
started the
problems every
discussion.
year.
Right.
Cause people walk and
communities
then
in
the
the
sidewalks aren't clear.
So if we change this is gonna apply to us too if we take over the sidewalk district. I mean, I don't wanna like pass legislation that's gonna basically not apply to us if we take over the sidewalk district. And we basically pass a new legislation that may only be in effect for 1 year, for 1 winter.
That's right.
I mean, we've done it for so many years already. Why can't we just wait 1 more winter?
But
I
to what
understand
end?
the problem, but I'm just saying, it's like to pass legislation for 1 year, for 1 season.
Every town has some legislation that requires a property owner to take and clear the sidewalks. I appreciate the fact it's onerous, every municipality has it and the liability that goes along with it.
So why don't we
Yeah, we're talking about
consider
one season then.
the opposite, changing the law and consider then if we actually need the sidewalk district? Maybe we decide people are doing a good job and we don't make it so onerous, I mean, people can clear their own sidewalk and maybe I thought we tinkered with it enough that it wasn't so onerous, the new proposed law. And we consider only doing a sidewalk district where the new sidewalks are. Or potentially saying, I don't know if we can even do that, saying, look, you still do your own sidewalks, but you have to use this sidewalk material that we could sell you for cost.
I feel like
I don't
we're
know if we
really,
can do that.
we're trying to think of solutions without having the data with which to really propose real solutions, right? I mean, I feel like we need to understand, like, what would the cost be associated with either A, taking over the sidewalk district, taking over the parking district responsibilities, B, taking over both the parking district and this expanded sidewalk district.
Okay, but you're not gonna be able to create the sidewalk district this year, no matter what you do. It takes time to do that. So even if we decide that, oh, we can have 4 people,
Oh, but how did that change from 2 weeks ago?
it wasn't,
2 weeks ago, we
it
were talking
wasn't,
about this.
okay,
And
with
Yeah.
respect, it wasn't 2 weeks ago, I said that I would
3
ask,
weeks ago?
so I asked staff about it. And I mean, I don't clean sidewalks, so I don't know. I asked
Yeah.
Jerry, this is what the board would like to do. And how many how many people would it take? He came back to me and he said between 3 and 4. And I said, can you do it with 1? He said, no. I said, that's what I'm gonna give you.
So, but I guess what we need to know is if we're gonna charge, we need to know what the delta is between what we're gonna charge people for this enhanced district, for us to take it over, and what it's gonna cost us to actually take it
Right,
over.
right.
If it's a significant amount of money that we're gonna have to expend, we may decide that it's not worth it to do that and we just change the sidewalk law and everyone does their sidewalk and maybe we sell them the materials we want them to use at cost, if there are certain materials we don't want people to use on the new sidewalks, and mandate you have to use those materials, and we may say it doesn't make sense for us to use taxpayer money to do that. But I think we need to know what that number is.
Okay. And I'm telling you, we'll have the conversation
Saying
with
it's
Jerry.
like at
It's
least
going to be the week of the,
200,000.
it's October 2nd and October 3rd is gonna be our budget discussions. We already have a preliminary in there. I know what he asked for and I know what I told him I'd give him. But he'll ask, he'll ask you for it and Rob Deary will tell you what he can and can't do. So we evidently never approved Willowbrook, the contract for Willowbrook swim and tennis regarding the use of their pool for the summer, so there will be a resolution for that approval. And do you wanna talk about Ronnie?
Ronnie?
Yes.
Well, this is, they were your neighbor,
I talked to him about
but they keep on reaching out to me, the husband, I forgot his name, but Mr. Akron, to honor his wife. Now, if you actually look at the materials, I mean, listen, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I know him on tape. When he first mentioned it, you know, I
This is the train station
yeah,
thing?
well, forget about naming the train station, I
No,
think
no,
that's
I
sort of
know.
out of the
Yeah, I
question,
know.
but when he first mentioned honoring his wife, I didn't really, you know, I didn't know much about what she did. And he sent a bunch of materials and I actually met him one morning and quite honestly, I thought he lived still on Annandale. He actually lives in the city and came up from the city
Yeah.
one Sunday morning to have coffee with me. And I felt bad, I didn't realize that he didn't live here anymore, but you know, if you actually look at the stuff his wife did, I do think she had a significant impact on bringing electric trains as opposed to diesel trains here. And she also represents community activism, what you can accomplish, which I think is a strong message. And so he suggested, you know, different things, obviously naming a train station was one option, he also mentioned you know, a flower bed or something, and he would contribute money towards it. So I think it's maybe something we should consider, where we could just do a plaque, but you know, he's willing to spend money on beautifying something, so I think it's something that we should consider. And he would come up here and talk to us, I mean, you
No,
know.
I think she did a lot.
Did you know her?
No,
She definitely had an impact, and he sort of provided proof. And you know, but naming the train station is a big thing, but
I like the plaque idea, and I wouldn't mind some kind of flower bed, but I'm not sure where.
yeah, I mean, we did one for
Yeah, on the side.
Henrietta
Mm-hmm.
Sewer,
Yeah,
which was nice, we could do
Yeah, it's
something like that.
nice. Somewhere near the train station, I don't know where else.
Is the bench by the train station in that little like cutout, opposite where Henrietta Soares flower garden is?
Mhm.
Is that dedicated?
I think there is a plaque on that bench, I know what you're talking about, it's on the train side, right?
Yeah.
I think there is a plaque on it.
I was just going to suggest, if you want something at the train station everybody could look at, you could put it on the inside as you're standing on the train station and you're looking over. It's typically, you know, between the Sawmill River Parkway and the actual train tracks, be a wonderful place.
That's not our property.
It's not our
To
property
beautify.
though.
Well, I
It's
understand,
empty.
but I don't see that Metro North would object, and I don't see that they would.
They won't give you access to go on there. We've tried to cut down the vines, there's a beautiful
Yeah, I know, and you got the trees
copper
and all
birch,
that stuff.
right, copper birch, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I was just saying, it's
Yeah.
a wonderful place that people can see and enjoy that's train station related. So, it'd be nice to honor someone where that was. And it also forms a nice buffer.
Right. We can try to
So
think of
let's
something.
look at where we could do something.
Yeah.
I don't know if we
Good
can do
idea.
that, it's a good idea, I'm not sure if we can do that with the MTA, but
If we can't do it, we still
we
got
can
that
see.
that bridge there, the bridge to nowhere that goes right across there.
I mean, I like the idea of beautifying something,
Yeah.
as opposed to just a plaque.
maybe we could do both. I like the
Oh, the
idea of a
plaque, right,
bench
yeah.
near there,
Yeah,
near the
but
train
that's
station
just,
there.
a lot of people have benches.
If we're gonna,
It's a
maybe we
question.
wanna rename the taxi stand,
I did think about the taxi stand too, but that's not.
cause it's not gonna stay as a taxi stand, it's gonna be something.
We call it the Ronnie Agrin,
Kiosk.
Yeah, the real taxi company here eventually.
Yes.
We need a pop-up
That's
shop
not
out
the
to
end of
you.
the road.
well, actually,
Well, I don't know if we name it, but we would put a plaque on it.
Yeah,
so
so.
we said it's pop-up shop, the taxi stand.
Yeah.
Look at it, we're talking about that tomorrow night, as a matter of fact, it's a chamber meeting.
Oh, yeah.
You're welcome to, anybody's welcome to attend.
I didn't know there was one,
I
yeah.
didn't see that advertised anywhere. They
Yeah.
didn't do a
The
good
chamber
job
meeting?
advertising.
Well, it's 'cause it's for like the port, it's not for like,
Oh.
yeah, it's like, just.
And talking to somebody who wants to do an ice cream shop.
Great,
Wouldn't that be
we
cool?
should.
Would that be cool? In the summer?
The taxi guys are dying to get in there, they
Yeah.
keep on telling me you can't, unfortunately. Maybe you can at times, but we gotta figure out what we're doing.
We can.
Okay.
Already put $1,000 a year.
Alright, so I think we wanna do something, we just have to figure out where.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
let's put our
who should
heads
we, so
together
maybe we
and-
should reach out to the garden club.
Nick was
and they can
suggesting
give
even the
us-
historical society, if there's something nice at around the train station.
Yeah,
Maybe there's a plaque we could put on the side of the train station, maybe,
Yeah.
with a bench there.
on the side.
Yeah, do it on one of the I mean, I wouldn't do it in the front, but either on the sides or the,
But even the taxi stand, we could do that, it's better, I mean, it's
Yeah.
the train stations, I don't know. On the outs, you know,
yeah, you're right.
I don't know if we can put
With
anything
SHPO,
on
I
the
don't know that they
outside.
would let us.
Yeah.
but maybe we
That's
can
a
do
good
something
point.
with the taxi stand, a nice plaque. It's not a bad idea to beautify it, that's for sure. Take up some space on it. We could name it the Brownie Ackman taxi stand, I don't know. Well, we'd call it a taxi stand, we'd call it, like you said, it could be something kiosk or something. Train kiosk.
Yeah, maybe, just,
Work on that a
there's
little
enough
bit.
confusion.
She
But
wants,
I think the taxi stand works as a good name.
she wants us to name the train he wants us to name the train station after it, saying, will you settle for a kiosk?
Well, how much is he gonna, if he wants to build a stadium there, how much is it? It's like AT&T, alright, you want to put a stadium? You give us like
The
25
Ronnie
million or
Ackman Trail.
something, maybe?
That's what I was thinking, the path to
The
the
chap
train.
line? No, it's
No, the path to the station,
Oh, the little path.
A little path.
that goes from,
No, I was thinking the chap one.
oh, you think, no. I was thinking the sidewalk. Leads to it, like from,
Oh, yeah.
Playground?
I don't know, something.
Playground. No.
Alright, we gotta put our heads together and think about.
Alright,
Okay.
so we actually are gonna stay in here for the town board meeting because they've already set up the assembly room for the primary tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Very cool.
I saw the sign was out there too, I was gonna vote
Me too, I
tonight.
got confused, I'm like, wait, it's tomorrow.
Somebody jumped the gun on the sign a little bit.
What's
Primary day for
Democratic
Election,
primary.
that's right.
Well, I guess
No
for
Republicans,
Republicans.
It's
right.
only,
Is there
it's only
any
one
primary?
party and it's only two, because two people couldn't agree.
Well, you got the governor also,
The
The
Yeah.
Attorney
Yeah,
General.
Attorney
Attorney General.
Attorney General is the
Governor.
big one.
There's like 4 of them on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no Republican primaries at all?
No,
don't
not,
think so.
no, nobody, not one candidate, sorry. When do you guys gonna start your board meeting?
I was thinking something totally long and different. Okay. Something about next, we're going to the town board meeting, right?
Yep.
Call to order, okay, so, welcome to our town board meeting Wednesday, September 12, 2018. It is now 7:45 PM. Daylight savings, one of the things.
That's right.
So I'll just do some quick announcements. We have Community Day this Saturday. John Ehrlich is here. John is instrumental in setting this up with the Rotary Club and has his blood drive every year at Community Day from 8:30 to 2:30 PM. And if you haven't signed up, you can give John a call, 914-602-3410, it's on the sign. And Community Day is from 10 to 3 at the train station. And the paper shredder will be at the recycling center on that same day from 10 to 1, sponsored by Santa Pro. The next day, September 16th, the Newcastle Historical Society invites you to dance and picnic in the park at the Chapaka Station. And it'll be open to guests at 4 PM. And attendees are encouraged but not required to dress in their finest 1920s inspired outfits, dresses and sun hats. All proceeds benefit the Newcastle Historical Society. I guess you can get tickets at the Newcastle Historical Society website. A lecture, theirs in our backyard. And that's gonna be on Monday, September 24th, 7 PM, right here in Town Hall in the Assembly Room. And an in-depth look at the new arrival to our backyard, black bears. And the Children's Book Festival is Saturday, September 29th, 10 AM to 4 PM at the Bell School right across the street here. And that's it. Tonight, just, I'm not gonna really do a supervisory report, but we did talk about in our work session, leaf blower legislation, we'll be setting it down for a public hearing. And we also talked about recycling and we'll be getting out some information in the near future. so residents can learn some changes coming to our recycling program that are actually underway. We have to really keep our recycling clean. And that's it, I mean. Jill Shapiro? Nothing?
Nope.
Okay. So, we just had a town board meeting
School
last
taxes,
week.
right, school taxes, their bills went out, they're due
Yes.
without penalty until actually October 1st this year. It's a Monday. So, and the tax office will be open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on October 1st, and tomorrow's primary day. So, vote with Democratic primary at your regular polling places from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Right.
in the Yankee Square.
Okay.
And we're skipping a meeting next week?
Yes, our next meeting is
Is in
going to
2
be the
weeks.
25th, Tuesday, the 25th of September. We have no town board meeting next week.
Okay.
And then we're gonna start the first week in October, October 2nd and 3rd, we'll be announcing it, that's gonna be our budget meetings.
Okay, so we already had our construction update, and there's nobody here for public comment, new business, so we'll move on to, he's here. So we have, John Erlich, I'm gonna assume you're talking about Community Day?
I am going to be talking about Community
Are
Day
you gonna
and
explain why you did it on homecoming again?
homecoming. Oh, no, you just try to talk to the school district, please communicate with everybody else. But anyway, such is life, but what we have is, we have a fun day coming up, and it's gonna be on the Saturday, and please come by, we are there. I would remind everybody to move your cars, please, or the town may execute some of the provision on that. But we do want to thank you. I also would like everybody, in addition to coming to Community Day, we have a record number of people that are going to be having booths. People are going to be doing lots of good things for us. So we want to keep it going. I would like to also ask that anybody, town board has always been good donors in the past. I would hope that you will make an appointment and stop by and donate if it.
I can't,
if
but I'm
you
making
can.
my husband do it.
Well,
That's very
He's
big
my
of you.
proxy.
That's very big of you.
like I
Very generous of you.
say, we are concerned about the health and well-being of everybody, whatever their environmental views. We would like folks, it's a day for the town, it's a day for us to celebrate who we are. Come, enjoy it, learn about all the great things that are going on in the town. And that's what those booths are all about. And the town uses it to get information out, and we would love to support you. We'd also like to say that we have various Twitter and Facebook pages that we went out there. A very kind person actually decided to help us promote this by putting out one of the exposition pages that you can, I believe, on Facebook and other things. So we thank all that are involved in doing that. We want to support the town any way that we can. Just a plug for Rotary, who helps implement this. This is something that we do try to do and do good stuff, and anybody is welcome to join us on any Monday, any other Monday, for where we can feed people at the Kittle House and just do good stuff all around Westchester and our community. I want to thank everybody. And I'm the one blaming me for these posters that are all around town. I will make my effort to get them down within 24 to 48 hours after the time, because if you put it up, you gotta take it down. It's only fair. So if I put 350 posters up, I'm gonna take 350 posters down.
You're really good about that.
Yeah, you are.
You are really good at that.
So that's all, and I want to thank the town and the town administrators and all the folks doing it, even the new folks that I don't even know who they are.
It's Lauren.
Gig is up, I was hoping to keep her, but fine.
But be nice to this town, because they really do a great job. And thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you. And I've got a lot of slots open for the blood drive. So do come.
And I will point out that the weather, according, I can hold on my phone, it's like you didn't.
I know, it's 20% right now.
78 degrees, and I don't see any rain in the forecast, I see a sun with a cloud.
Well, we're trying our best. What I usually try to do to make sure that we've got good weather is I try to reserve the Bell School for the indoor thing, and I'll pay them. So as I know if I have a backup site for this, it does help with the opportunity of weather. Now, we can't control the weather, but we can control how we treat each other. And I hope we all treat each other well, and that's what community is all about. So thank you very much for joining us for Community Day.
What a nice ending, Jim, thank you.
Thank you, John.
And can we put in the newsletter too that at Community Day, the Performing Arts Center will have a booth and selling tickets where you don't have to pay a fee to Ticketmaster.
So why don't you do a separate piece for it? Because
That's it.
the problem is that committee, they submit their piece, I usually don't amend it.
Okay,
Um,
I will.
But yeah,
we'll put it together,
Yeah.
something
Okay.
together.
Yeah,
Together.
we'll be glad to help with the Performing Arts Center. People should support that project. It's the one thing at Chappaqua Crossing that makes sense.
Yes, I believe we're gonna have a karaoke.
We're supposed to.
We're supposed to have
Wouldn't
karaoke.
announce anything till it actually
We'll
happens.
put something together. There's a lot of events coming up at Chapac, I wanted to do a separate newsletter for that too, I mean,
Yeah, that'd be
there's
good.
there's at least
Yep.
10 events coming up with our
Yep,
children's stuff.
Yep.
So we should do
Williams
something,
and
yeah, exactly.
What Fresh Hell is coming back
And that army band, whatever it's called, the Heritage Band,
Yeah.
free concert.
Yeah, we're doing that with the library and, yeah. Terrific things going on.
Okay, terrific, thanks, John. So now we move on to our
Resolution.
agenda, the resolutions.
Alright, I move to approve the payment of claims in the amount of $800,183.06 listed on the summary pre-check writing report and detail voucher detail report, each prepared on September 12th, 2018. Checks will be mailed to each claimant listed on September 14th, 2018.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay. Alright, do you wanna talk about this one? Or are we just gonna go for it?
So, we have decided to farm out the review of the plans for Sunshine. Basically, it's just too much work for us to do in-house. So ICC is the International Code Council, and they're an independent organization, and they're gonna do the review for us. There is a section in here, because we assessed the applicant a fee in connection with the building permit application that included partial review by the town, which we're not doing.
Right.
That's what basically the rebate is.
But,
They're gonna be
so
paying
we
for the
can't,
adjustment.
but they're paying for ICC? Or-
Yes, they're paying for
Okay.
ICC,
And they're basically getting credit for the portion that they paid us to do it.
the review, because we're not doing it.
And how did we find ICC?
ICC is a well-known,
Well, it's the International Code
council.
Council, thank you,
Yep.
who oversees the implementation of the code. They draft the rules and regulations for it. They're a governing body that has a board of directors, they have licensed architects and licensed engineers, and it's sort of who the code officials in the building department go to when they have questions on interpretation of the building code. So they're an independent agency throughout, certainly the tri-state area, I'm sure, but nationwide.
Okay. So, whereas the town is interested in retaining the services of the International Code Council, ICC, to review the plans for the proposed Sunshine Children's Home and Rehab Center project at 15 Spring Valley Road, whereas the ICC provided a fee proposal with a total cost of $26,775, but such cost will be revised to reflect a fee to review the sprinkler plan once it has been prepared by the Sunshine applicants. And whereas the Sunshine applicants have provided the appropriate funds to cover the ICC's plan review costs, which have been deposited into an escrow account, withdrawals shall be made from the escrow account to pay for the cost of the review. Whereas Sunshine applicants also previously submitted a check for $443,346 in connection with its building permit application. Now therefore be it resolved, the town board hereby authorizes the town to retain ICC to perform a plan review for the proposed Sunshine Children's Home and Rehab Center project as described above. Be it further resolved, the town board authorizes the town to retain ICC in the future to perform plan reviews for other proposed projects when deemed necessary by the building inspector and approved by the town administrator, so long as the applicant is paying for the review cost. Be it further resolved, the original building permit fee covered the cost of plan review by the town's building department, and the building department is using a third party to review the applicant's plans. The board feels it appropriate to issue a credit equivalent to the ICC's total review fee. The town board hereby awaits a credit to the Sunshine applicants that shall be equal to the amount provided in the final ICC invoice. The credit will be issued upon approval of the building permit. Be it further resolved, the town board hereby authorizes the town administrator to execute all pertinent documents necessary to effectuate the purpose of these resolutions. Any and all agreements shall be subject to review and approval by the town attorney.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to approve entering into agreements between the Newcastle Stanwood Consolidated Water District and the Millwood Fire District regarding hydrants commencing January 1st, 2018 and terminating December 31st, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move to approve entering into agreements between the Newcastle Stanwood Consolidated Water District and the Newcastle No. 1 Fire District regarding hydrants commencing January 1st of this year and terminating December 31st, 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I move to approve the agreement with Willowbrook Swim and Tennis for the use of the pool for the town summer camp in 2018, effective retroactively to Tuesday, June 26th of this year, and continuing through Friday, August 3rd of this year at a fee of $14,100 plus reimbursement for lifeguard services at a rate of $14 per hour per lifeguard.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okey-dokes.
You can put the word